What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5WS. Chapter 81 Uchiha Inferno Style. Beast's request for a fight. Advertise here. Ended with the beep, the moment the sign-in is completed. In Bai Chen's mind, a loud voice also sounded, also accompanied by the new release language of Zanpakutō of the hot type. Spray the breath of flames. Burn the body of the enemy. Burning flames. Let's dance. Huo puts out the fan. Same moment. Because of the birth of Zanpakutō, the air burns, the Reiatsu explodes, and the temperature rises violently. At this time, standing in the vast pillar of flame light, Bai Chen's black hair danced, and there were a lot of raging flames around his body. Rise up with great momentum. What a powerful breath. How Huo extinguishing fan. Is this Zanpakutō's name? Sure enough, it's related to Uchiha Madara. Bai Chen spread out his hands. At the same time, slowly close your eyes. Let go of all your defenses and completely relax your whole body. Immersed in the baptism of fire. Quietly enjoy the surging power brought by the flames. And by the name of Zanpakutō. Bai Chen also immediately thought of it. During the Fourth Ninja World War, Uchiha Madara debuted in the state of impure world reincarnation. In front of the ninja coalition forces, the famed technique displayed. Fire style, extinguish the fire. If I'm not mistaken. Once the true name is released, this Zanpakutō form of the heat system. It should be the ancestral artifact of the Uchiha clan. The flame fan that can reflect damage. At this time, Bai Chen looked down at his hands. At the position of the palm of his left hand, flames continuously gathered from the surroundings. Just in the blink of an eye, it quickly condensed and formed into a flat gourd 13 shape. And this time, among those surging flames, Bai Chen can clearly see the obvious 6-hook jade pattern. This is also a complete stone hammer. His second Zanpakutō, the Uchiha fan. Not bad. From now on, I have the pair Zanpakutō. And the only paired Zanpakutō ever created with dual attributes. Bai Chen showed a satisfied smile. Wooden Zanpakutō, Wooden Dragon. Hot Series Zanpakutō, Huo fan. By completing the check-in task, Bai Chen once again made history. Owned by Soul Society for over 2,000 years. The only strongest double sword in history. At the same time. Formed with the extraordinary flame ball fan. The system prompt sounded again. Ding. Congratulations to host, the sign-in is successful. Sign-in reward. Zanpakutō of the hot department, the fan of the fire. Sign-in reward. Open the second template. Sign-in reward. Grandmaster all Uchiha Inferno style ninjutsu. Different from the past. This time, the system prompts sounded in succession. It's comfortable. Inferno style ninjutsu of the Uchiha clan. Not only are there a large number, but most of them are powerful. Regardless of the attack range or destructive power, it will be fully charged. Bai Chen felt ecstasy in his heart. Even if you are mentally prepared. Knowing that this hot type Zanpakutō, it will not be inferior to Wood Dragon. Introducing Zanpakutō's skills. Still a huge surprise for Bai Chen. He just thought about it. A number of fire style ninjutsu names came to mind. The fire is extinguished. Dancing in the wind. Dust hide technique. Dragon flame singing technique. And, belonging to the category of enchantment, Uchiha flame formation. Without any exaggeration, this heat is Zanpakutō, Fu Mi Mie fan. In the case of bringing together a variety of different powerful fire-style ninjutsu. Another benchmark against the Wooden Dragon. And in terms of attack power, it is no less than Ryujin Jaka's Zanpakutō. Bai Chen even thinks that, with the Reiatsu blessing of ultimate sage body, his arrogance puts out the fan. Future final pinnacle cap. Even more so than Ryujin Jaka, which makes Yuhabach more afraid. But, just when Bai Chen was still immersed in it, awakened the dual line Zanpakutō. The joy and pleasure brought by the soaring strength. He didn't notice. Due to the soaring flame light beam, it has not stopped and disappeared for a long time. It's not just the Zaraki district that's been affected. Not even as far away as the Technology Development Bureau in Seraiti. Also because of this powerful fluctuation. And led to the monitoring system, because the warning line was exceeded. And sounded the alarm on its own. At this time, 12th Squad Team Building. In the Scientific Research Building of the Technology Development Bureau. Warn. Located in the monitoring hall on the first floor. Now it is filled with red light, almost every corner. All because of the constant flashing of the warning lights. And it's causing chaos here. What's the situation? Where is the source of the overpressure fluctuation just now? Zaraki District. Impossible. Didn't the purification team led by Vice Captain Quebec just arrive in the Zaraki area? Such an intense battle broke out so quickly. At this time. Countless, glowing red, a chaotic and fluctuating monitoring screen appeared. The third seat of the 12th Squad, Ah Jin. I'm so busy right now. He was tired of dealing with the constant reports from his subordinates. While clutching his horny head, a perplexed look on his face. It shouldn't be, even if there are often false references, happening in the border area. But ordinary virtuals, no matter how many there are, the purification troops should be able to deal with them easily, right? How could there be such a terrifying sign of Reiatsu fluctuation? Ah Jin frowned. At this time, the alarm level of the monitoring system has exceeded the red line. This has reached the level of Bankai. It is even equivalent to the fact that the Soul Society has been invaded by the outside world. It was obviously just dealing with ordinary evil spirits. It shouldn't be so exaggerated, right? Could it be Bai Chen? Among the 3 team leaders traveling together, he is the only one. The ability to cause such exaggerated abnormal fluctuations again. Ah Jin frowned, almost in a mess. Consider Bai Chen's wood lineage Zanpakutō. There was a strong performance that overwhelmed the captains when they were liberated. Ah Jin felt uneasy, also gradually began to calm down. And it is believed that the source of the fluctuation is because of Bai Chen. But, with Bai Chen's character, he shouldn't be dealing with ordinary vanity. Deliberately going to great lengths to liberate Zanpakutō. Although not worried for now. But Ah Jin still felt suspicious. This time the purification task. The main purpose is to allow the soldiers to gain experience. This, long before departure. Everyone already knew it. So, Bai Chen is even more impossible. In order to show off my own strength, I deliberately show off in front of the team members. No, it doesn't make sense logically. We still have to discuss it with Captain Yuri. I racked my brains and couldn't figure it out. Ah Jin Sanshi simply didn't think about it. Put away your thoughts and tell your subordinates to continue real-time monitoring. Then turn around and walk towards the exit of the surveillance hall. Head to Kuritsuchi Mayuri's office as fast as you can. Return to the Zaraki area. What? Bai Chen, am I reading that right? You actually awakened the second Zanpakutō. A dilapidated barren plain. Sparrow step Chojiro old exclamation. It was directly raised, and the dust was flying all over the place. At this time, his eyes widened. With a face full of shock, he stared at Bai Chen's hand. That mighty and extraordinary fire-extinguishing fan engraved with the pattern of Guyu. His jaw dropped to the ground in shock. If you don't see it with your own eyes. Sparrow Chojiro would never have thought of. How long has it been since? Hito and Shinigami squadrons. How much void has not even been purified? Bai Chen didn't agree with each other. Quietly desperate again with a brand new Zanpakutō. Dual-line Zanpakutō. Such an outrageous thing. It directly subverts the 3 views of Sparrow Choji 570 Lang. Let his mood be incomparably shocked. The brain also becomes blank because of this. In a short period of time, for a while, I temporarily lost the ability to think. So, the one just now caused widespread panic. The beam of flame Reiatsu that plunges directly into the depths of the clouds and dyes the sky red. Are you showing up because of your hot Zanpakutō? Dumbfounded, he froze in place, looking at the huge round fan in Bai Chen's hand. Katetsu Aizen opened his mouth and had nothing to say. The face under the short hair parted in the middle showed a horrified face. Good guy, others are risking their lives to purify the void. But you, Bai Chen, are fine. Unreasonably open and hang up again. If you don't agree with each other, you have a brand new dual-line Zanpakutō. At this time, Katetsu Aizen is too lazy to ask. Bai Chen obviously already owns a wooden Zanpakutō. Why would it be unreasonable? Actually awakened a hot Zanpakutō. After all, the past few months. Everything that happened to Bai Chen. They are all equally outrageous, and cannot be explained by common sense. Katetsu Aizen is completely numb too. But, before Bai Chen had time to appease the two of them. Suddenly, on the passage leading to the Zaraki area. 3 figures suddenly appeared one after the other. And the one at the head is a man like a ghost. Facing the extremely hot Reiatsu wind. Eyes of excitement, fanaticism, and fighting spirit. Overlooked Katetsu Aizen, and the step twos. It landed directly on Bai Chen. At the same time, as if roaring, he grinned ferociously and said. Ha, finally found you, the original character of Flame Reiatsu. On the ferocious face of Zaraki Kenpachi. Filled with an expression that is gradually going crazy due to high emotions. He challenged Bai Chen from the air. Unknown Shinigami. My name is Zaraki Kenpachi. Please fight me next. Chapter 82 Rebound. Unlimited slashing. This is an artifact. Advertise here. Ha, unknown Shinigami. My name is Zheng. Then please fight with me. It was beyond everyone's expectations. I haven't waited for Katetsu Aizen and Sparrow Chojiro. Recover from the shock of the awakening of the great fire extinguished fan. Before that because of the soaring flame light beam. And Zaraki Kenpachi, who was ignited with emotions and fighting spirit. Leading Yakiryu and 2 younger brothers. Really searched all the way. And as soon as he saw Bai Chen, he started a provocation without saying a word. Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. Who is this guy? Zaraki. Never heard of it before. They should be the heroes of the Zaraki district. But that beast man's aura is very strong. Facing Zaraki Kenpachi who suddenly disrupted the situation. And deeply felt, emanating from his body. After that barbaric and violent breath. including 2 lieutenants, and other Shinigami. Except for Bai Chen, everyone's expressions changed. All because of this beastly man. I felt a great threat at the same time. But, compared with colleagues around, seen with Zaraki Kenpachi, and behind him Madarame Makaku, a Yasugawa Yumashika. Besides, the cute little loli is 8,000 streams later. There was a surprise expression on Bai Chen's handsome face. It was not because of the other party's rude provocation. And feel a little uncomfortable and annoyed. Instead, because of the appearance of the Zaraki trio, there is an amazing feeling of meeting an acquaintance in a strange place. Yes, at this moment in time, Zaraki Kenpachi, there are those who admire and follow him. Madarame Makaku, and a Yasugawa in person. The Zaraki group of the battle team in the future has not yet gone to Seraiti at this time. Still in turbulent Rukongai, enjoy the fun of fighting. If it wasn't for the awakening of Haohuo fan, the momentum it caused was simply too great. If not, the current Zaraki trio, there will be no intersection with Gotei 13's Shinigami at all. And with the character of Zaraki Kenpachi, he didn't even bother to deal with ordinary Shinigami soldiers. Weak people don't deserve his attention at all. Ito. The appearance of Bai Chen, and sign into the hot department Zanpakutō. But inadvertently caused the butterfly effect. Moved the timeline forward and attracted Zaraki Kenpachi. Bai Chen, how many of them do you know? Sparrow Chojiro frowned. With scrutiny eyes, he kept going back and forth, inquiring about Zaraki Kenpachi and others. A bald head, a lowly, a feminine and handsome man. And a beastly man. For this one, the composition of personnel is complex. A strange combination that seems extremely unreasonable. Chojiro's first reaction was subconscious rejection. As a team adjutant, the most trusted person around the captain. From the moment Zaraki Kenpachi grinned and provoked just now, Chojiro is already the default. Think of Zaraki Kenpachi as an evil outcast who will pose a threat to the Shinigami. And generally, what to do with this type of soul? Once the opponent takes the initiative to attack, they will be killed on the spot without exception. Everyone obeys orders. Block the entire area. Until the investigation reveals the details of the origin. Never let any of them leave. Didn't think long. Chojiro the seasoned sparrow, immediately and decisively ordered in a deep voice. And with his order, purify the Shinigami in the force. Members of the Kido, the 1st Division, and the 13th Division. Scattered in an orderly manner. Standing in all directions. In an instant, a net-like encirclement circle was formed. Fill this land with embers. And a barren area filled with hot air. Completely surrounded and impenetrable, instantly blocked the retreat of Zaraki Kenpachi and others. Taking advantage of the number of people to bully the few. Shinigami is more annoying than rumored. A head like a light bulb. Under the shining of the scorching sun. Reflects a dazzling translucent luster. Madarame Makaku sneered, after the light glanced around. On the contrary, it is more forceful. Hold tightly in your hand, that weapon that resembles a spear. And his side. The same goes for a Yasugawa Yumashika. Although at an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers. However, this does not prevent the wicker knife in his hand from being raised high. Even the young Yakiryu, he also put his hands on Xiaoman's waist. Standing on Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulders, sticking out his tongue with a playful grin. Don't take the Shinigami's siege at all. And such a performance of arrogance. Naturally, the conflict was intensified in an instant. The atmosphere at the scene instantly became tense. But, just then, Bai Chen, who has been silent all the time. But he took the initiative to stand up and prevent the Shinigami from encircling them. Vice Captain Sparrow, remove the encirclement and let the soldiers retreat and disperse. Just leave them to me to deal with. Bai Chen stepped forward. To Sparrow Chojiro, he asked calmly and confidently. Bai Chen, are you sure? Sparrow Chojiro frowned. The first reaction was hesitation. It's not that he doesn't trust or doubt Bai Chen's strength. But because Zaraki Kenpachi looks so wacky. Intuition told the old man Xiong. This hideous-looking man, compared with those he met in the past, any refugee and hero is different. Absolutely has a powerful combat power no less than the captain level. Certainly, since they're coming after me. Then let me resolve this dispute myself. Bai Chen was talking. At the same time looked down. The huge round fan held in the left hand. The corner of the mouth curled up in anticipation. Just pass through a few of them, let's show the power of Zanpakutō. Finished. Boom. No action was seen from Bai Chen either. Reiatsu, who was deep in the body like an abyss, burst out in an instant. But, different from the past, it's that emerald green color. This time, Bai Chen's Reiatsu becomes bright red. It's like a cluster of burning flames. A real flame that keeps piling up. Instantly detonated the air, let the temperature rise again. Immediately broke through the original boiling point. It has reached an unbearable level of heat. Wow. Even if Bai Chen didn't deliberately target it. But with the explosion of hot Reiatsu. Officers and soldiers, because they can't bear the heat. While sweating profusely, they all let out a muffled grunt. Before Chojiro could give an order, he flinched back desperately. In a very short time, a large open space was vacated. A battle circle was formed out of thin air. Bai Chen. Do you really need our assistance? Are you going to take on them all by yourself? Katetsu Aizen asked worriedly, leaving Zaraki Kenpachi aside. Just behind him are Madarame Makaku and Ace Chuan. It all makes Katetsu Aizen feel obvious threats and oppression. Even Katetsu Aizen's past combat experience is not rich. She can also clearly see it. Zaraki Trio, all werewolves. Every one of them is not easy to mess with. Vice Captain Yongyan, don't worry. Siege this kind of thing, they shouldn't bother to do it. Bai Chen smiled, jokingly said confidently, ah. Are you so sure? Katetsu Aizen froze. Sneak attack, siege, no martial arts. This is not the villains and refugees of Rukongai. What are the most used means and tricks in combat? These uninvited guests in front of me. It should be the same. However, to the surprise of Katetsu Aizen, it was actually hit by Bai Chen. Other side, only Zaraki Kenpachi is out. Yakiryu, Madarame Makaku, and a Yasugawa Kuhiro stayed put and watched. Did not show the slightest intention to intervene in the battle. Ha, Shinigami, how do I feel? You seem to know us very well. Zaraki Kenpachi grinned grimly, a deep and hoarse voice, and a dark and ferocious face. Even if he didn't deliberately exude momentum, he is born without anger and prestige, with a strong aura. Who knows? Bai Chen showed a faint smile. At the same time, he raised the fire-extinguishing fan in his hand and pointed at Zaraki Kenpachi from the air. Quote. Your name is Zaraki, right? I'm not a very patient person. So I hope you will do your best later. Swing that notched Zanpakutō hard. Bai Chen's voice contains the unique self-confidence of the strong. But to Zaraki Kenpachi, these words are obviously a face-to-face provocation. Call, I thought that you would be different from other Shinigami. But now it seems that he is still the same arrogant and rude. What Lousy hates the most is that someone underestimates my slash. Zaraki Kenpachi snorted unhappily. Hold the knife with one hand at the same time and raise it high. That was many years ago. From the body of a dead Shinigami. Pick up the long, notched Zanpakutō. Under warm light. On this barren land, a slanted shadow was reflected. Just happens to be unbiased. It landed on Bai Chen head on. It seemed to indicate that he would be slashed to death soon. Come on, more sleepy. Let me see you, like a beast. Are you qualified to challenge Shinigami? Bai Chen's persistent provocation. This time finally completely detonated the Zaraki sword. 8 emotions. Go to hell, Shinigami. The evil spirit growled. Deafening. Zaraki Kenpachi roared with all his might. Hold the Zanpakutō and the figure moves forward. After getting close to Bai Chen, he slashed down violently. Boom. The mighty golden Reiatsu. It looks like a vertical waterfall hanging upside down. In everyone's jealous eyes, carrying the coercion of crushing everything, he faced heavy bombardment and fell down. 2. Just in his own figure. The moment when he was about to be hit by the sword. Bai Chen did not rush, and raised the fan in his hand, Wang Qinhao Haohuo. The block at the right time was in front of him. At the same time, activated the hidden passive ability of Uchiha Map Fan. Fire. Bounce. The next moment, a strange scene that made everyone unbelievable happened. Boom. After the golden Reiatsu burst, it did not spread rapidly towards the surroundings. Form an explosive sword pressure air wave. 2. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it was forcibly pulled, and all of them were absorbed by the fan. Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. How can this be? Lousy's full strength slash was directly absorbed by his Zanpakutō. Zaraki Kenpachi shocked. The pupils suddenly dilated to the maximum. An unbelievably shocked expression on his face. However, before he could react, the sword pressure energy absorbed by the Haohuo fan. It's actually like a mirror reflection, deeply compressed and accumulated. Directly in the form of red light. It rebounded in the opposite direction and bombarded Zaraki Kenpachi heavily. Boom. That's all. It was just a few seconds before and after. Zaraki Kenpachi who clearly took the initiative to slash violently with a sword. That beastly body, like a cannonball, it flew out backwards. And Bai Chen, who was the target of the attack. Instead, he remained unharmed, calmly standing still. And this weird scene, a stark contrast between the two. In an instant, the scene of the battle became deathly silent. Everyone is amazed. Can't understand Zaraki Kenpachi, why the violent backlash. Chapter 83 The King of Flat Cutting on a Whim. Advertise here. Boom. Ho fire off the surface of the fan. Those black 6-hook jade patterns. Under the eyes of everyone, a dazzling red light burst out. Immediately after, Zaraki Kenpachi's golden sword press. Even just at the moment of explosion. The energy of the sword pressure after the explosion was rapidly absorbed in an instant. And in an energy blast way. Unexpectedly, the power is not diminished, and it bounces back according to the original path. Boom. Huge dark red light beam. Erupts along the surface of Haohuo fan. When the red light spreads past, the beast-like figure of Zaraki Kenpachi. It was blown away like a cannonball. Just in the blink of an eye. Then plowed a gully of hundreds of meters on the ground. Finally, with a sword, the whole person blasted into the ruins of the ground crack. Not only the state and appearance, but also extremely embarrassing. At the same time, it also shows the hidden gap between his writing of Bai Chen. After all, Bai Chen neither slashed nor parried. There is no deliberate defense. Just one action from start to finish. He just used the flame fan to block in front of him. EXX. Just kill Zaraki Kenpachi in reverse. Such exaggerated and outrageous results. It's unbelievable. Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. Is this the end? No kidding. That's the Zaraki boss who was invincible in the Zaraki district. Madarame Makaku was dumbfounded. Ayasagawa bowed in place, dazed. Not even Kusajishi Yakiru's expression. Because of worry and shock, she pouted cutely. The three of them froze in place at the same time. All feel unreal because of the scene in front of them. To know, over the past few years, maybe dozens, hundreds, or even hundreds of years, Zaraki Kenpachi, who has always shown himself as a ghost in the hellish Zaraki district, experienced countless battles and fights. Whether it's a challenge, a sneak attack, or a siege, Zaraki Kenpachi is always available in the middle of the fight. One person, one sword, relying on flat cutting, cut all the enemies to the ground. Not only that, Zaraki Kenpachi also failed to find 883 opponents. And briefly left the Zaraki area and went to the nearby ones. The same order is chaotic, and the block with the last number. Finally, the result is exactly the same. Because of Zaraki Kenpachi's barbaric invasion. Whenever he set foot in the streets, there were blood and dead bodies everywhere. And because of the long killings. Zanpakutō, who clearly holds Shinigami, but never Shikai's Zaraki Kenpachi. It has gradually become something that makes heroes and wandering souls frightened. The almost invincible, king of flat cuts. Arto. The result of what is happening now. It's the exact opposite of what it used to be. The once invincible flat cut. The golden sword that kills countless people. It was actually directly rebounded by the Haohuo extinguishing fan. Think here. While wiping off the cold sweat, Madarame Makaku can't help swallowing saliva in fear, as this guy holding an artifact. When he looked at Haohuo fan again, the widened pupils are full of awe and fear. It's like looking at a transcendent flame artifact. Quote dash dot 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 quote. It's messed up now. Obviously we came here to provoke. But the battle has just begun, and it's over in an instant. And by the looks of it, Ayasagawa bowed and turned around. He stared quietly at the cracked ruins at the end of the ravine. When you see because the clothes burst. And when Zaraki Kenpachi was covered in bloody scars. Ayasagawa bowed, his heart instantly became extremely desperate. Shaking his head, with a dejected face, he sighed heavily. Fighting like the Zaraki boss. If you just rely on sword pressure and flat cut. Even if things were repeated 10 times just now, I don't think the result will change in any way. Now how do we break the situation? Ayasagawa bowed with a melancholy expression on his face. If even Zaraki Kenpachi is easily beaten, then the two of them. I don't even have the courage to challenge Bai Chen. BDBH, who knows about that flaming round fan? Is there any other strange ability hidden? Rush to attack Bai Chen. Will only repeat Zaraki Kenpachi's mistakes. In the end, Bai Chen held a round fan and slapped him violently. White. What you're holding, is it really a Zanpakutō? Sparrow Chojiro was taken aback. As an ancient person who has lived for more than 2,000 years. Due to the knowledge of Zanpakutō. More in-depth research than everyone present. Exclamation mark. The degree of shock in the heart of the Western old man. Even more shocking than Madarame Makaku and Ayasagawa Kyoko. Just now. Just such a short gap. He has been back and forth. I have inquired about Haohuo extinguishing fan dozens of times. But what made Chojiro wonder? Judging from the huge beam of Reiatsu light that soared into the sky before Bai Chen's fire extinguishing fan, there is no doubt that it should be a Zanpakutō with fire attributes. The weird rebound ability just now. No matter how you look at it, it seems that it has nothing to do with flame. Could it be both dual attributes other than Zanpakutō? Even a single Haohuo fan contains different powers. Isn't there a total of 3 different attributes? This is too outrageous. If not, looking at the expression of the Western old man. Through the face that suddenly changed and changed. Bai Chen probably guessed what he was thinking, and said with a dumbfounded smile. Vice Captain Sasaki, it's not as exaggerated as you think. Bounce back and slash is just the most basic ability to extinguish the fan. It can even be said that it is not the real calendar area of Zanpakutō. Bai Chen explained with a calm expression. However, his words. On the contrary, Chojiro was even more stunned. What did you just say? You didn't even activate your ability. This is too exaggerated. Just hold it like this. It has already been able to rebound the full blow of the captain's combat power. Unimaginable. If the hot power explodes in full force. How exaggerated is the destructive power of Haohuo extinguishing fan? Bai Chen, how do I feel? This Haohuo extinguishing fan is even stronger than the wooden dragon. Sparrow Chojiro was sweating profusely. I have to secretly rejoice that Bai Chen is one of my own. Favored and trusted by the captain. Otherwise, the two attributes and abilities are completely different. But the attack power is comparable to Ryujin Jaka's dual-line Zanpakutō at the same time. It happens to belong to Bai Chen alone. This kind of thing, in the past, is for the entire Soul Society. No less than a horrific man-made disaster. Vice Captain Sparrow. Let's stop here for the small chat about Big Fire Extinguished Fan. That devilish man named Zaraki. But it won't fall easily. Look away. Off topic. After testing the strength of the fire extinguishing fan, Bai Chen concentrated his attention in satisfaction, and looked into the distance again. At this time, inside the ruins, a battered Zaraki Kenpachi. The notched Zanpakutō was stabbed into the ground upright. And with Zanpakutō as a support point, with blood in his mouth, his expression was hideous and terrifying. Smiling grimly, he stood up again. Ha, Shinigami. Your Zanpakutō ability really opened Laozi's eyes. I don't know how many years. Finally met another strong enemy who can withstand the pressure of my sword. Zaraki Kenpachi was in high spirits. Although because of bleeding all over the body, it caused him to look very embarrassed. The blood that flowed down. But like a stimulant, it detonated Zaraki Kenpachi's emotions even more. It made his already boiling fighting spirit get higher than ever. The aura that erupted from the grinning smile was much stronger than before. A rare decent opponent. Now you are finally qualified to let Laozi ask your name. Zaraki Kenpachi grinned grimly. Obviously he was the one who fell into the disadvantage. But between the words, it reveals the self-confidence of the strong. It would be as if. Next he will use the sword in his hand. Use a more violent and disorderly slash Bai Chen and all the Shinigami with one blow. Hateful. This guy is too arrogant. Obviously he's been hurt like that, but he's still talking big. Actually questioned the name of Bai Chen's third seat. Did he really think he could cut down all of our Shinigami? Because it is not clear yet. Zaraki Kenpachi's past identity and details. For this savage and rude man, the Shinigami of the purification unit, the whole pig has an attitude of repulsion and disgust. If it weren't for Bai Chen's confession on purpose, no outsider intervention is required. If not, the Shinigami have run out of patience. There is a siege on Zaraki Kenpachi from all directions. 2. It was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Zaraki Kenpachi has a bad attitude. But Bai Chen's expression remained unchanged. Not only did he not show any disgust or disgust. Instead, he showed a faint smile. My name is Bai. The current 3 seats in the 13th division. It's one of the team leaders of this purification mission. Holding a fire extinguishing fan in hand. The death bully outfit rattled in the breeze. Bai Chen is as immobile as a mountain, and his words and deeds reveal infinite confidence. He didn't intend to unleash Inferno style. Instead, I hope to fight Zaraki Kenpachi in a flat-cut way. Not so long ago, inside that old dojo where Reiatsu was suppressed. Bai Chen is the same way, engaged in a fierce sword fight with Unohana Retsu. And finally learned Yakiryu Kendo. Oh, how many years have passed. The current Gote 13 is even the third seat so strong. For a moment, Zaraki Kenpachi once suspected that he had heard wrong. Although he is wild and violent, and only stays in the Zaraki area all year round. But this does not mean Zaraki Kenpachi is a person who has no information and knows nothing about the outside world. For Gote 13, more or less, he still has some understanding. And in Zaraki Kenpachi's past impressions, the whole Gote 13. Except for the real Captain Shinigami. The rest of the Shinigami, even if it is the Shinigami Vice Captain. It's all rubbish. He is the king of slashing, he can bargain for goods with one knife. Since when? There are only 3 seats. Has it become so powerful? Is it because I have always been prejudiced against Gote 13? That's why I never let go of my arrogance. Do you want to get to know and understand this Shinigami organization again? Do not know why. Zaraki Kenpachi, who usually doesn't like to think. At this moment, Meng was born suddenly. Curious about Gote 13. And through Bai Chen, Zaraki Kenpachi also realized. 53. Gote 13 is also good. It seems that it is not as unbearable as he imagined. And at this time, 2 younger brothers watching the battle not far away. Madarame Makaku and a Yasagawa Bo in person. After noticing the slight change in Zaraki Kenpachi's expression. Immediately stunned, unanimously exclaimed, I suffered. Zaraki boss him, could it be? Would you like to go to Seraiti on a whim and become a Shinigami? Chapter 84 Zanpakutō calls. Nozarashi awakens early. Advertise here. Soon after, Madarame Makaku and a Yasagawa are concerned about things themselves. It didn't happen after all. Bai Chen, right. Although I don't know why you, the third seat, are so strong. But the stronger the enemy is, the more excited Laozi's sword will be. For Shinigami, and the curiosity of Gote 13. After all, it's just a thought. Zaraki Kenpachi quickly put away his thoughts. While wiping the bloodline from the corner of his mouth, he stomped heavily on the ground. Exudes like a wild beast. Incomparably furious golden Reiatsu. Boom. Bloody torn clothes. Because it is unbearable to bear the strong wind of Reiatsu. It was extremely violent, and it was torn apart suddenly, exploding with the cloth of the clothes. Zaraki Kenpachi's upper body covered with cut scars. It is also completely exposed in front of everyone. There was a sudden panic. This is too scary. Dense scars, almost all over the body. If it were someone else, they would have died long ago, right? As this guy immortal, after so many cuts, he is still alive and well, what a monster. At this time, Zaraki Kenpachi's body, the surface of the body with piled up muscles. Countless large and small cut scars that have scabbed over. The number is so large that people even directly commit trypophobia. Yeah, even if there are many old wounds and hidden diseases on the body. And at this moment, because of the rebound caused by the fire fan just now, caused many wounds to re-crack. But Zaraki Kenpachi didn't show any pain at all. He grinned instead, and kept licking the bloodstains left at the corners of his mouth. It looks like a beast that has just been injured. But it is about to launch a charge against the prey again. Come on, little sword. You are the most manly man in the world. Although Abai is also very handsome, hehe. But I still hope that you can cut him down with a sword. In a safe area not far away. Madarame Makaku's shoulder above. Kusajishi Yakiru's playful lowly voice sounded. She waved her immature powder fist. Keep dancing and cheering for Zaraki Kenpachi. But different from the optimism and innocence of little Loli. Madarame Makaku and Ayasagawa bowed their eyebrows tightly. For this imminent battle, do not dare to take it lightly. Attend to personally. It's been many years. It's the first time I've seen Boss Zaraki so excited. Madarame Makaku said with a complicated expression. Yes, Ayasagawa nodded empathetically. No matter how many battles you have experienced in the past. It seems that Boss Zaraki is not as excited as when facing Bai Chen. But I still feel that the hope of winning is slim. Finished. Ayasagawa shook his head and sighed. When he turned his head to look at Bai Chen, his eyes were full of embarrassment. If Zaraki Kenpachi is the king of flat cutting, just holding the sword, you can be brutal and violent, and your whole body is full of power. B. It is also holding the Haohuo fan with one hand. But what Bai Chen brings to people is like a sharpened sword. Yes, if it weren't for Bai Chen standing there alive. Ace Gawa promiscuity even more than once mistaken. Confronting Zaraki Kenpachi, not a certain Shinigami, it's a real sword with sword spirit. It can be seen from this. How strong is Bai Chen's aura? Even if he didn't burst out Reiatsu on purpose. The surging sword energy in the body still brought onlookers, already kind of sharp oppression. If it weren't for Ace Chuan's own strength is not weak. Otherwise, just by looking at him, he would even feel difficult to breathe. At the same time, moved, Boss Zaraki took the lead. Madarame Makaku yelled. Then Zaraki Kenpachi inside the ring. Stepping on the ground with a grinning grin, the violent power caused the ground to collapse directly. Boom. In the deafening roar, Zaraki Kenpachi violently lifts the knife. With terrifying explosive power. He rushed directly to Bai Chen. Trying to repeat the same trick, chopping down the golden sword pressure head on. However, this time Bai Chen did not stand still. But the moment Zaraki Kenpachi left, Bachin Liu Kendo's opening moves. Scimitar slash. With a low drink. Hold Haohuo Mie fan's body. Slightly twisted and danced. Formed a moving trajectory like a red flame. Immediately afterwards, it disappeared in place. When he appeared again, he appeared on the back of Zaraki Kenpachi. Zaraki, you who only rely on brute force to slash. The way of fighting is full of flaws. It's just a moving target. Cold eyes. There was a flash of bewitching red light. While Bai Chen mocked coldly, he extinguished the fan in his hand. In the case of being surrounded by substantial sword energy, accompanied by the chilling aura, he slashed like a sweeping force. Brush. The next moment, the figure of Zaraki Kenpachi rampaging. It's like being hit by stationary magic. With a body more than 2 meters high, the whole person suddenly froze in place. Scissor slash. This is, for a moment. Zaraki Kenpachi seemed to suddenly recall something. But, before he could think about it, a sharp pain hit her back. Then there was a line of blood rushing to the sky, bursting out from the wound. Hateful. Bai Chen. You bastard. Zaraki Kenpachi gritted his teeth. Sniffing because of the splash of his own blood, and the pungent bloody smell emitted. He turned around abruptly and waved his Zanpakutō. Try to act like a dying beast. The fanged hunters strike back. However, lithium. The sound of metal clashing. And when slashing and blocking each other. The terrifying power that was shaken out. In an instant, all the blood around him evaporated out of thin air. But, Bai Chen's figure remained motionless. The handsome face behind Haohuo Mie fan. From the beginning to the end, the expression remained the same, it was that calm face. In the frontal slash confrontation. Blocked Zaraki Kenpachi's flat cut easily. Bai Chen's 3 seats are so strong. In front of him, that Zaraki has been being teased. Just parry like this for a moment, if there is another bounce. I'm afraid Zaraki's figure will be blown away by violence again soon. Around the battle circle, the Shinigami of the Purification Force. One after another because of Bai Chen's incomparably powerful swordsmanship. And feel excited, and brighten up. And what happened next? Indeed, as they expected. Dash 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 dash. Fire. Bounce. Following Bai Chen's drink sounded. What happened before is happening again. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Backlash again. You mean and shameless bastard. I really don't talk about Wood. Zaraki Kenpachi's expression changed suddenly. Eyes wide open, unhappy cursing, but even if he reacted in time. And tried to shrink Zanpakutō back in the first place. Still underestimated. The power of Uchiha rebound. Zaraki. So this is the gap between me and you. Possessing a powerful flat cut is certainly something to be admired. Asking for flowers. But this also means that I have completely missed the dew of the sword. And you even ignored the existence of Drunken Soul Sword. Just use him as a fighting tool. There are so many weaknesses and flaws. It's impossible for you like this to defeat me. Bai Chen's face was calm. Exposed Zaraki Kenpachi's flaws face to face. It is short of the title of King of Flat Slashing. He has been deprived of it in public. And even in front of the nasty Shinigami. Was lectured by Bai Chen. But Zaraki Kenpachi didn't even have time to talk back. In the burst of red beams, the whole person was blown out 100 meters away again. Repeat the mistakes of the past, and fall into the ruins of the ground crack in embarrassment. A dying look. Knew it. The gap in strength is too great. Looking at the ruins of the ground crack. Zaraki Kenpachi down again. Madarame Makaku sighed, not surprised, but took it for granted. Shaking his head in agreement, he said. And there's nothing wrong with what Bai Chen said. Competition of slashing. It is also a confrontation between Zanpakutō. But Zanpakutō, Zaraki's boss, is just a pure machete. And the enemy will not be like him, who will only cut flat in the battle and kill. 0. Undeniable. The bounce ability of Haohuo fan. When dealing with flat cuts and slashes, it is indeed as shameless as cheating. But Madarame Makaku knew it in his heart. This is not an excuse for Zaraki Kenpachi to fail. The opposite of exactly the past so many years. He has been ignoring the existence of Zanpakutō. Just put that blade full of notches Zanpakutō. Think of it as a handy tool that is convenient for killing people. So you will suffer in battle. Can't blame anyone at all. It's over. Twice in a row, the full amount of damage has been taken. No matter how thick Zaraki's blood bar is, he can't stand such a toss. Ayasagawa shook his head and sighed. Silently retracting his gaze, he couldn't bear to continue watching. At the moment, in the case of only knowing, flat cut. And just met TNK's, Ping Chi, Haohuo fan. This is still hairy. Continuing to fight is no different from taking the initiative to die. Even more ironic. In the end, he was even rebounded by his own slash and died. That's a real shame. 2. Madarame Makaku is also good. It's good for Ayasagawa to bow himself. Also includes hundreds of gloating Shinigami all around. Just as everyone agrees, this battle of disparity in strength has come to an end. But I don't know that the ground is cracked in the ruins. At this time, Zaraki Kenpachi, who fell to the ground, is in good condition. 29. Zanpakutō's name, although bathed in blood. And Zanpakutō also lost his hand when he fell to the ground. And it fell solitary not far away. But, this moment. Zaraki Kenpachi's mouth, but kept chanting the words, Zanpakutō. And his brain has always been occupied by savagery and impulsiveness. At this time, it has become more and more clear and clear-headed. Gradually there was a voice. Born within the darkness, and constantly questioning Zaraki Kenpachi. Want to become stronger. Want to beat Bai Chen. If my name is called, I can return all my strength to you. This moment, Zaraki Kenpachi's eyes became brighter than ever. He has heard it clearly. What that voice told him. About Zanpakutō's name. One never heard of it before. Strangeness. And weird name. Nozarashi. Inch. Chapter 85 The Devil from Hell. Uchiha Flame Formation. Advertise here. Finished. If he hadn't met me, Zaraki Kenpachi wouldn't be in such a mess. Holding a fire extinguishing fan in hand, Bai Chen stared into the distance. His sight fell on the ruins of the ground crack. Zaraki Kenpachi's bloody, dying figure. He shook his head regretfully. Pity for Zaraki Kenpachi. Reasonable. The reason why the battle is one-sided. Not because Zaraki Kenpachi is too weak. Instead, it is because of his own Zanpakutō, Haohuo extinguishing fan is too strong. That led to the invincible, King of Flat Slashing. Instead, it is pitifully reduced to a moving target. In this battle, no matter how many times you slash. In the end, it will only be Zaraki Kenpachi himself who gets hurt. But, if only this level, there is no need to go any further with Uchiha Inferno style. Bai Chen's eyes flickered. The idea of continuing to do it was dispelled. Original. Consider Zaraki Kenpachi's almost immortal, pervert physique. Bai Chen intends to squeeze the wool to the end at once. Check it out. The power of Uchiha Inferno style. But now it seems. Obviously this is no longer necessary. Zaraki Kenpachi, who is seriously injured, is not qualified enough to be a guinea pig. Bai Chen is really worried that he will be burned to death every minute. In this case, the future is in the Millennium Bloody Battle. The 5 special combat powers that make Yuhabach afraid. But the 050 is about to die early. Bai Chen. How many of them are you going to let go? Sparrow asked Chojiro, frowning. Although it seems that Zaraki Kenpachi has lost the ability to continue fighting. But for this violent, rude, and on more than one occasion defied Shinigami's savage men to their faces. Sparrow Chojiro subconsciously, I want to make a final touch-up. He can't stand a mere refugee. How dare you disrespect the majesty of Gote 13. 2. Just like this thought, just when it rose from the bottom of my heart. Bai Chen seems to have mind-reading skills. With a calm expression, he persuaded Chojiro Sparrow. Vice Captain Sparrow, with all due respect, punishment is fine. If you kill me, you can avoid it. In this battle itself, Zaraki just keeps getting beaten. It didn't cause any harm to other people, did it? Suddenly asked by Bai Chen. Sparrow Step Chojiro was stunned, then nodded suddenly. Yes, Bai Chen is right. Zaraki Kenpachi has indeed been beaten. From beginning to end, he was the only one who was injured. Just hurt the killer's words like this. It also seems to be a bit narrow-minded. However, before Sparrow Chojiro could finish his reflections, Bai Chen continued. Besides, you should be aware of it too, right? Zaraki's strength is undoubtedly at the captain's level. Such a talent with unlimited potential. Isn't it much stronger than the current Kenpachi of the combat team? This time Bai Chen speaks amazingly. Directly in front of Sparrow Chojiro and Katetsu Aizen, 2 lieutenants. And in front of hundreds of other Shinigami around. Let's talk about the current battle team leader. The 10th generation Kenpachi, Kenpachi Onigan Castle. Just a piece of rubbish. And these words, it also caused an uproar in an instant. The Shinigami of the purification unit burst into an uproar. You heard me right. What Bai Chen Sanshi said just now. He actually despised the current captain of the battle squad in public. As this a Shinigami infighting? This moment, most of the Shinigami broke out in a cold sweat. I dare not comment on Bai Chen's astonishing remarks just now. Undeniable. In the minds of most people. Born in Rukongai in his early years, Kenpachi, the ghost town of Kenpachi, was once a hero. Because of rude character, and a bad temper, has always been in Gote 13, except for the 11th team. See you Shinigami from other teams. Yeah, not pleasing to the eye is one thing. Public contempt is another matter. Not to mention. Bai Chen is now the entire Gote 13. Because of the halo of genius, and the incomparably powerful strength. And the person who is favored and valued by the captain. Could it be, as the third seat of Bai Chen, willing to challenge Kenpachi, Onigan Castle? Instead, become the new captain of the 11th team. Just like this thought, in everyone's mind, when it emerged at the same time. But suddenly, boom, among the ruins of the earth fissure that no longer attracted everyone's attention. Without warning, suddenly, a beam of Reiatsu light burst into the sky. And a sudden accident immediately dispelled all unnecessary thoughts. Quickly draw everyone's attention back to the ruins of the earth fissure. Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. What happened? This Reiatsu, so strong. It is more than twice as strong as before. And the color of Reiatsu's beam of light. It also changed from gold to dark red. What happened in the ruins of the earth fissure? That guy named Zaraki, did he have a soul mutation? This moment, look at that incomparably huge road. And it exudes a dark red color that song has hell. After soaring into the sky, it was the red Reiatsu beam of light that directly shattered the clouds. The Shinigami who had already retreated to the safe area. Out of unknown mysterious power, instinctive fear and panic, they subconsciously retreat desperately. Until the distance is doubled. After hiding in a place they thought was safe enough. This is the ultimate peace of mind. Take a breath of relief. And at this time, near the battle circle, only Yakiryu, Madarame Makaku, and a Yasugawa are left. And Katetsu Aizen behind Bai Chen, and Chojiro Quippo. Unconsciously. Because Zaraki Kenpachi broke out like a resurrection from the dead. In addition to the combat power above the rank of adjutant. Other outsiders are not qualified to approach this battle circle at all. Not even Bai Chen. The others are just struggling to support it. The longer you stay, you will gradually have a feeling of difficulty breathing. Reiatsu mutation. How could such a thing happen? Could it be that Zaraki's Zanpakutō suddenly awakened? Under the flying silver gray short hair, Katetsu Aizen's expression changed drastically, and he said in disbelief. Except for this statement, she couldn't think of any other reason. Let me explain the strange situation that happened in front of me. Zanpakutō awakened. Even Bai Chen was stunned. Originally, he had planned to let it go. I don't want to continue to entangle with Zaraki Kenpachi. I didn't expect it. Things turned around, without any prior warning. Zaraki Kenpachi, the king of flat cutting, unexpectedly awakened Zanpakutō in advance. Is it because of a few words just now? I didn't expect it. One day, I will also become a man with a mouth escape. Bai Chen laughed at himself. He showed an expression full of surprise and surprise. He vaguely remembers. In the original plot, Millennium Bloody War period. The first invasion of the Invisible Empire. And the captain died heroically because he fell into a trap. In order to increase the combat power limit of Gote 13. Unohana Retsu had to sacrifice herself. Use your own death to awaken Zaraki Kenpachi's self-sealed memory. Thus leading to the final awakening of Zanpakutō, Nozarashi. But now, in the case of a strange combination of circumstances. Now that Nozarashi has awakened early, doesn't that mean that Sister Wa will not sacrifice in the future? Think here. Bai Chen couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. Satisfied that I inadvertently caused the butterfly effect once again. Don't say anything else. For Sister Wa, who is both a teacher and a friend. Bai Chen still values it very much in his heart. Such a perfect woman with both beauty and strength. It shouldn't have fallen so sadly. But, first awakening Zanpakutō. Zaraki Kenpachi should not be able to control this power for the time being, right? Put away your thoughts. Bai Chen frowned. At this time, the dark red Reiatsu beam of light no longer expanded into the sky. On the contrary, it is continuous. Return to the ruins again. And when the momentum is compressed sharply, the air full of smoke, dust and air waves is all surrender. The breath of danger is quietly permeating. Immediately, this area seemed to be reduced to a real hell. And Zaraki Kenpachi shrouded in a huge beam of Reiatsu light. Instead, bring up the butcher knife. Gradually from the abyss of hell, trampling on corpses and bones. Evil ghosts creeping out gradually. Really. Bai Chen had just finished speaking. Zaraki Kenpachi's tyrannical hoarse voice. Then a very penetrating sound suddenly sounded. Hello. Bai Chen. Don't think that lousy will fall down so easily. The battle between us has only just begun. This moment. Dark red Reiatsu beam of light. It disappeared completely, and all of them entered the body. And the figure of Zaraki Kenpachi. It is also looming in the smoke and dust. This is. Shit. I have never seen such a huge Zanpakutō. Is it Bankai? This is too exaggerated. Through the gaps between the smoke and dust. When looking over Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulder. That one is so huge that it needs heavy shoulders to carry it. A gigantic Zanpakutō with an axe-like edge. This moment. Even including Bai Chen, everyone Shinigami was dumbfounded. All were blown away by Zanpakutō, Nozarashi's domineering look. This is true. Zanpakutō, the boss of Zaraki, has awakened by himself. Another direction of the battle circle. Madarame Makaku was dumbfounded. I was so shocked that even the eyeballs flew out. Even because of the light refracted on the back of the Nozarashi blade. And feel extremely dazzling. X7. I didn't expect it to survive a desperate situation. Although the shape of this Zanpakutō looks very weird. But one look is infinitely powerful. Now boss Zaraki finally has hope to beat Bai Chen in 4.6. Ayasagawa bowed and his eyes flickered violently. Watching Nozarashi, his emotions were strongly infected. Can't help but from the bottom of my heart. So happy for Zaraki Kenpachi. Even the Ikakuzu is slightly wet. And this is the performance of the rest of the life after the catastrophe, and weeping with joy. I've already said that. Xiao Jian is the most masculine man in this world. Next he will definitely use this huge black machete. Cut down all the Shinigami including Bai. 8,000 streams of cute laughter. Also from the bottom of my heart, happy for Zaraki Kenpachi. But, Bai Chen mentioned by her. At this moment, it is no longer an expression of indifference. Instead, he slowly raised his hand. Since Haohuo fan awakened. Infuse Reiatsu towards the inside of Zanpakutō for the first time. And instant inferno style ninjutsu. Sealing barrier. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. To prevent Zaraki Kenpachi from running amok. Also in order to protect the lives of colleagues as much as possible. Bai Chen didn't think about it. Utilize the power of Zanpakutō to unleash the Uchiha flame array. Will be blazing flames, booming into the ground. In an instant, a formation made of flames was formed. A huge barrier that integrates offense and defense. As a result, the sky over the Zaraki district became red again. Chapter 86 The Strongest Kenpachi. The slash that splits the sky. Advertise here. At the same time, just in the battle between Bai Chen and Zaraki Kenpachi. When reversals and surprises occur one after another. Far away in Seraides Technology Development Bureau. Located at the top of the building, that room is usually not allowed to step in easily. Inside Kuretsuchi Mayuri's private office. At this time. Jin's excited exclamation sounded again. Captain Mayuri. I'm not wrong, am I? There are abnormal fluctuations in the Zaraki area. Now it is becoming more and more intense. Obviously the current situation of the purification force is not very optimistic. Stand in front of the monitor screen. Look at the warning value that is almost going to explode. Jin frowned, although he tried his best to keep calm. But the complexion that is gradually heating up. It still expresses his inner feelings at the moment. How violent the ups and downs are. However, it's different from Jin. Standing beside him is Kurosaki Mayuri wearing Captain Haori. The face under the blue and white mask. There is no trace of worry. Instead, he grinned and said coldly in a reprimanding tone. Haven't you found out yet? Purification troops. There is no danger at all. The real problem is Bai Chen alone. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's sharp voice. In this spacious and quiet office. In an instant, a huge echo was formed, constantly passing back and forth in every corner. What's the meaning? Face-to-face lesson by Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Jin was startled, and hurriedly lowered his head. Afraid to be with this pervert scientist. Make any direct eye contact. To avoid being inexplicably thrown into the laboratory later. Carry out all kinds of horrific and illegal human experiments. In the eye socket, the eyeballs kept rolling. Kuretsuchi Mayuri said in a low voice, although I don't know exactly what happened over there. But I'm sure 13 is the reason for the continuous occurrence of overpressure phenomenon. It was caused by Bai Chen's Reiatsu outbreak. And the characteristics of Reiatsu also have nothing to do with Zanpakutō, dragon. Speaking of which, Kuretsuchi Mayuri's smile gradually pervert. The deep and hoarse voice also became visibly excited. Since some time ago, on the day of Bai Chen's team selection. After seeing and feeling for yourself the extraordinary power of Zanpakutō, wooden dragon. Since that day, back to Kurosaki Mayuri of the Bureau of Technology Development. Then he kept on day and night, regarding the relevant data of wooden dragon. In-depth research was carried out without sleep and food. Although the same Zanpakutō cannot be reproduced. Still, the ambitious Kuretsuchi Mayuri was eager to pass the numbers. Create black technology props related to wooden Zanpakutō. Therefore, after this period of painstaking research, Kuretsuchi Mayuri is out of this world. Even Bai Chen knows his Reiatsu better than he himself. Just now, through the data analysis of the monitoring system, Kuretsuchi Mayuri easily deduces that Bai Chen's Reiatsu is weird. No longer has traits associated with wooden dragons. Instead, it shows numerical fluctuations similar to hot Zanpakutō. That's why Kuretsuchi Mayuri smiles pervert. Because he has realized Bai Chen's Zanpakutō must have changed a lot. Do you think that in this world, will there be pairs of Zanpakutō with different attributes? Kuretsuchi Mayuri asked suddenly. Paired Zanpakutō. And are they still two completely different attributes? There was hardly a second of hesitation. Jin shook his head violently, denying with a firm tone. Impossible. There is absolutely no such possibility. Over 1,000 years since the founding of Gotei 13. Paired Zanpakutō exist. Dual-line Zanpakutō do not exist. Jin didn't just deny it. Even thought the idea was absurd. And it doesn't fit at all, Zanpakutō's power system. How is it possible, if there really exists a dual lineage Zanpakutō? Doesn't that mean the owner of Zanpakutō must be a split personality? If not, it is simply not possible in the process of soul merging with Zanpakutō. Two powers with completely different attributes were born out of thin air. In the face of Jin's strong assertion, it seemed that he had already guessed that he would answer like this. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's eyes flickered. With an extremely excited expression, he praised himself. So, Aizen, that's the difference between me and you. With your vision and imagination, it is indeed impossible. Kuretsuchi Mayuri grinned excitedly. Then he completely ignored Jin. As if he had become a lunatic, he looked at the monitoring screen and said to himself. Bai Chen, your brand new hot Zanpakutō. Shouldn't it be inferior to wooden dragon? I am looking forward to having the opportunity to feel its power for myself. Return to the Zaraki area. Boom. There was a burst of intense heat. Like a gust of wind and showers, it constantly ravages this area. What a barren land, and it caused the swaying fire to grow continuously in the cracks in the ground. Aikido enchantment of the flame attribute. So this is the real ability of big fire extinguishing fan. It's just Shikai, but it has power comparable to natural disasters. Obviously this is another Zanpakutō on par with Ryujin Jaka. It looked like it enveloped the entire battle circle. Almost towering into the sky, surrounded by red flames of karma. The Shinigami of the purification force. All of them opened their mouths wide in horror. Everyone had the same shocked and terrified expression on their faces. Everyone is in awe of the flame formation. Vice Captain Sparrow. A hot Zanpakutō comparable to Ryujin Jaka. If this is reported back to Saraiti, I'm afraid even the captain can't sit still. Even if you are outside the flame array, not being oppressed like besiegers. But just look up, just watch. Katetsu Aizen couldn't help but turn pale. I even felt that the spiritual power in my body was burning together. Yes, with the character of the captain. Once we learn about this, we will definitely ask Bai Chen to liberate Zanpakutō in person. It's even possible to confront him with Ryujin Jaka. Sparrow Chojiro said with a complicated expression. As a loyal subordinate who has followed the captain for more than 2,000 years. The Western old man can be said to be the best in this world. There is no one who knows the captain best. He definitely thinks. Once, big fire extinguishes fan is exposed, it will definitely cause an uproar in Saraiti. Not just the captain, not even Central 46 can sit still. And what will happen then? No one can guarantee it. But what surprised me was, Sparrow Chojiro changed the subject. No more discussion about extinguishing fans with great fire. His vicissitudes and deep eyes pierced through the crimson flame barrier. It fell on Zaraki Kenpachi. Sparrow Chojiro frowned. Said in disbelief. Dude. Zaraki. He's actually getting more and more excited. These two people in the enchantment. What a pair of unreasonable monsters. At this time, inside the flame array, although the temperature is too hot. As a result, sweat dripped continuously on both sides of the rough cheeks. The more dangerous it feels. Zaraki Kenpachi's expression became more and more excited. Quote. That's what it feels like. This feeling that death is only one step away. Lousy has been looking forward to it for countless years. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled maniacally. With a grim smile, the momentum exploded, and the transcendent Reiatsu waved out. Instantly dissipated the surrounding heat. And because Reiatsu is too powerful, it even enveloped his body, forming a huge skull. It shows that it has been sealed for thousands of years. It seems to really come from the brutal power in the depths of hell. Zaraki, if I were you, having this level of power, definitely won't stay in Rukongai. Instead, leave the Zaraki district and go to the Saraiti where the Shinigami live. Holding a fire-extinguishing fan in hand, Bai Chen raps Reiatsu's voice. Very penetrating, resounding through the entire flame enchantment. You are worthy of the title of Kenpachi. Become the strongest Kenpachi in the history of the combat team. This moment, Bai Chen from the heart, deliberately fueling the flames. If Zaraki Kenpachi only cuts flat, he has no intention of changing the timeline. But now that Nozarashi has been unsealed, so for Zaraki Kenpachi. There are also Madarame Makaku and a Yasugawa who followed him. They remain in the Zaraki district, facing heroes and vagrants like miscellaneous fish. For the improvement of strength, it will not help in any way. On the contrary, it will only be a waste of time. For a long time to come, it will continue to stand still. Therefore, only go to the Lingting 200 together. Slay the current Oniganjo Kenpachi. Instead, become the new 11th team captain. This is where Zaraki Kenpachi should be right now. It was beyond Bai Chen's expectation. As a person who does not play cards according to the routine. Zaraki Kenpachi, who has a fighting spirit in the face of his good words and persuasion. He just chose to ignore it. And growled disapprovingly. Bai Chen, Lousy is not in the mood to care about Kenpachi, right now. The only thing I want to do is blow you away with this knife. Finished. Zaraki Kenpachi takes a leap. The tall and burly body, together with the huge Nozarashi. Directly. It's in the process of vacating. A large dark shadow was reflected on the ground. Like an invisible mountain, pressing towards everyone present. Impressive visual effects instantly. Finally can't help but do it. Bai Chen looked up. In the black pupil, covered with a layer of bewitching red light. With a thought in his mind, Reiatsu burst out together with the sword energy. In an instant, a crimson, boiling pool of blood was formed. Gulu. Blood bubbles. It keeps rising. Makes the hot air in the enchantment. Added another smell of blood. Bring it on. One hit decides the winner. Let's see who is the real king of flat cutting. Bai Chen's eyes were burning. Use the substantial bloody evil spirit. Entangling the entire Haohuo fan. And at this moment, he didn't deliberately put on a parrying posture. Rather, boom. Bai Chen soared into the sky. With one step, the ground is crushed. The surrounding air also keeps rising because of his figure. There was an ear-piercing roar. Finally, in everyone's incomparably shocked eyes. Black Giant, Nozarashi, extinguish the fan with a piece of red fire. In the midair of the flame barrier, slash towards each other at the same time. And this moment, incomparably powerful Reiatsu blast. It directly breaks through the sky and rolls up the clouds in the sky. Actually let the whole sky. There is a violent twist. As if it was about to be shot down entirely. Chapter 87 Crisis Strikes. Airborne Black Wing Demon. Advertise here. Boom. The sky shook violently. The clouds receded. A terrifying turbulent flow of spiritual particles was formed. The sky above the Zaraki district seems to be about to collapse. Horrific scene of destruction. Let it stay away from the flame formation barrier. The purification unit Shinigami who have retreated to the safe area long ago. Everyone was sweating profusely in shock. He stared in amazement at the two figures that were about to intersect in midair. Shaking in place. I can't help but want to escape from here. Too exaggerated. When looking at the battle between Bai Chen Sanshi and Zaraki. It's like watching two monsters fighting each other. Look up and stare into the air. Under the short gray hair fluttering in the wind. Katetsu Azane's beautiful eyes could not hide the tension. Worrying for Bai Chen from the bottom of my heart. Obviously Bai Chen is so powerful. And already abused Zaraki Kenpachi once. But I don't know why. That gigantic black Nozarashi that looks like a giant machete. And after entering the Shikai state, Zaraki Kenpachi has a reddish complexion all over his body. Both. All to Katetsu Azane. It brought unspeakable anxiety and heart palpitations. Let her subconsciously shake. No more confidence in Bai Chen. Vice Captain Yongyan. Don't say it's you. Even this old man's hairs stand on end. Goosebumps all over my body. This is the instinctive reaction of the spiritual sense, feeling afraid. Sparrow Step Chojiro lowered his eyes. He said with horror in his heart. As an important figure in commanding and coordinating various teams, he occupies a very high position in the Soul Society. At this moment, I can no longer care about any issues. From inner heart, express your inner thoughts. To put it bluntly, I almost couldn't bear the oppression. And at this time, the very top of the Uchiha flame array. In full view, facing the sun's rays, Nozarashi who suddenly fell from the sky and slashed down. Entwined with red flame edge, there is also a bloody and fierce fire extinguishing fan. These two are the most powerful Zanpakutō. In the end, from top to bottom, the violent magnetism collided together. Boom. Terrible explosion. It exploded through the entire sky in an instant. Red and gold, two different kinds of light, mix and explode with each other. In an instant, a dazzling energy light ball was formed. Huge. The breath of destruction is rippling. It was also accompanied by black lightning that distorted the sky. When substantial Reiatsu blast. When the incomparably thick water pours down from the sky. The entire Uchiha flame array. It's as if it can't bear the impact. The flame barriers on all sides vibrate violently. At this moment, connect the karmic fire on the surface of the barrier. Become dimmed, almost extinguished. Even more exaggerated. Even with the Uchiha flame array as a barrier. But the Shinigami outside the barrier, even if they have already made preparations to resist. The body that Shiba put on was still being thrown away at this moment. A purification force of hundreds of people. In just a few minutes, I was blown by the Reiatsu blast like a waterfall. It has directly scattered chaos. Even the entire Zaraki district has been greatly affected. It's like being caught in a catastrophe. At the same time. Fifth team building. That hidden basement that has never been known to outsiders. Despite the distance from the Zaraki district, there are hundreds of thousands of miles away. And because within the Soul Society, the monitoring power is dominated by the Technology Development Bureau. The Aizen trio didn't dare to be blatant. Toggles blatantly and hogs the monitor signal. Therefore, for real-time news happening in Zaraki district. In fact, they were not able to witness the state of the scene. But, yeah, Captain Aizen, remember a long time ago, in order to block the border area. Those entrances to the black cavity passages that we have carved out to lead to Hueco Mundo. And a seal trap that was deliberately planted. At this time. Ichimaru Jin with a fox smile on his face. He was standing in front of an instrument with a smile on his face. Looking at the various above standard values that are almost overflowing the screen. In Aizen words, can't hide the excitement and fun. Silver. How do you say it? Behind him came Aizen's indifferent response. Hey, let me explain in advance. Ichimaru Jin turned around abruptly. Looking at Aizen, he emphasized sharply. I didn't cross the line without permission, let the two espadas dispatch ahead of time. But, at this moment, in the Zaraki area, for some reason, a large-scale battle took place. Its strength and intensity have even directly affected the border area. It almost broke through the spiritual traps we set up back then. Captain Aizen, you should know what it means, right? Ichimaru Jin asked meaningfully. Heard the words. Aizen's first reaction. It just fell silent. Under the thick and drooping bangs, his sleeping light flickered slightly. Instant brainstorming. With what Ichimaru Jin just described. Aizen tried to imagine the scene. Then he pushed the black-rimmed glasses lightly. Interesting, a new variable has happened. Quote. How about we set off immediately and rush to Zaraki district for on-site monitoring? A blind man, Tusen Kanami, came from the side. Full of awe and respect, and some anxious requests. His state of mind, not as calm as Aizen and Ichimaru Jin. Once there is any disturbance, or the occurrence of unfavorable factors. Tusen Kanami will find it hard to accept. I don't like this kind of feeling that I can't control the overall situation safely. Of course, among the Aizen trio, he is the only one who is not stable enough in the city. Ichimaru Jin looked on coldly at Tusen Kanami's proposal. And Aizen simply refused. Yes, why bother? Aizen turned slightly, a sideways look at Tusen Kanami. With a cold tone, asked blankly. Are you questioning my arrangement? Or don't believe in Ulquiorra's shared vision, ability? I don't dare, Master Aizen, to be so glanced at by Aizen. Even Tusen Kanami himself cannot see. At this moment, he was still in a cold sweat instantly. Frightened so much that the figure staggers back. Almost got down on one knee. Calm down. There is no need to encounter a little accident. But always the impatient reaction of making a fuss. Look away, ignoring Tusen Kanami's trepidation. Aizen stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the abnormal data on the monitoring instrument. After a long absence, there were some waves of emotion. With a tone of expectation. Said in a cold voice. Since the order has been issued a long time ago. Then we just wait for the good news. I imagine with Ulquiorra's judgment. He will definitely choose the most suitable time to launch the invasion. And we just had to share what he saw afterwards. Aizen's voice, empty echoes, spread to every corner of the underground base. Even if at the moment away from the Zaraki district, Aizen still has absolute self-confidence. Can control everything in the dark. At the same time, the skies above the Zaraki district. Over time, that terrifying energy light ball that appeared because of the slash. It's completely gone now, but, replaced by. The whole sky has become completely dull. Not only do all the clouds disappear. And no longer the color of azure. Instead, it turned into, like hell, a weird scarlet. And right above the Uchiha flame formation. The terrifying Reiatsu air waves are rushing, and they are also dissipating bit by bit. Around the circle, there was a dead silence. The Shinigami of the purification force. He tidied up in embarrassment. Either sweating profusely, or trembling limbs. Everyone has a kind of fear that they have just experienced the rest of their lives. The blow just now should have already decided the outcome, right? Quote. The same collision again, if it happens one more time. I'm afraid that the sky of the Soul Society will really be chopped off. Whether Bai Chen is bigger or bigger. Both of them are incomparably beyond the normal captain-level combat strength. This moment, look at the almost shattered sky. The hundreds of Shinigami present didn't even have the slightest doubt. If the battle between the two continues, I'm afraid that even the star where the sun is located will be smashed to pieces. This is the most real feeling in everyone's heart at the moment. FASR. The voice of discussion has just ended. In the midst of Reiatsu's turbulence, Dao was almost in a coma. It suddenly fell from the sky. The whole person, together with Zanpakutō, plummeted towards the ground. This is Zaraki. He was really defeated. In the end, Bai Chen is the winner of the 3 seats. Look up. Eyes locked on Zaraki Kenpachi. After confirming that he has completely lost the ability to continue fighting. The senior officers and soldiers all breathed a sigh of relief. The loser is Zaraki Kenpachi. If not, face the wild king of flat slashing. Even with Sparrow Chojiro around, the entire purification team still couldn't stop this man from going berserk. At that time, the consequences will be unimaginable. Then, when the Reiatsu wave completely dissipated. Bai Chen is a strong figure with a fan in his hand. It also landed on the ground smoothly and unscathed. Boom. Press your feet on the ground. It directly shattered a new ground fissure. Looking not far away, he fell into the ruins because of excessive use of power. Completely fell into a deep coma. Zhao's will not wake up in a short time. Zaraki Kenpachi. Bai Chen's expression is extremely complicated. When looking at each other's eyes, it is full of recognition and appreciation for the strong. Zanpakutō. No Zarashi. It really deserves to be in the millennium bloody battle. There was a Zanpakutō that really shined. Think back to just now. The moment the sword collided. Bai Chen couldn't help but feel unfinished. No Zarashi, bursting with power. Although it's just a pure flat-cut Zanpakutō. But it gave Zaraki Kenpachi super power to open up the world. If it weren't for Haohuo Fan Extinguisher, it would be even better. And the ability of Muji Healing can heal the wound instantly. Bai Chen will not be like this now. Unscathed condition. One way or another, wait until Zaraki Kenpachi wakes up. Be sure to take him back to Seraiti. The king of flat cutting should not be unknown. It should have been the title of Kenpachi long ago. However, just as Bai Chen had just made up his mind. When deciding to change the trajectory of Zaraki Kenpachi's fate in advance. But suddenly, without warning, it's not far from here, on the edge of the skyline. It should have been silent. But suddenly there was a piercing tearing sound. The sky is like black cloth. Subjected to forcible violence. Then, in the cracks of the torn black cavity. 2 powerful auras. With darkness and evil, come on suddenly. Chapter 88 1 against 2. Fight the Espada. Blast and dance. Advertise here. Sudden accident. A wave of ups and downs rises again. Before Bai Chen took a breather. Recover from the fight with Zaraki Kenpachi that just ended. But suddenly, without warning, on the edge of the Soul Society at the edge of the sky. The sky that was supposed to be silent has torn apart an incomparably huge one out of thin air. A black cavity channel exuding a dark and negative atmosphere. And 2 powerful figures, one after the other, the Soul Society is about to descend from the darkness. Quote ? Quote. What happened? This is, the gap in the black cavity. Manos Grande has actually invaded. No way. Such a coincidence. It's just a disaster. Due to too much movement. And in the torn black cavity. The dark atmosphere, like a tide, descended from the sky and crushed it. Therefore, Shinigami of the purification force. I shuddered all over. Then, at the same time, they turned their heads and looked over there. When I saw the figures of the 2 Espada airborne. Everyone's face was ashen, and their scalps were numb in an instant, and they froze in place. All because of Arrancar's unique violent aura. And almost freaked out. Impossible. It has always existed only in legends. The entire Hueco Mundo is one of the few Arrancars in millennia. And still Ajukas. And, vasto lord, how could a Manos Grande of this level parachute into the Soul Society for no reason? At this time, not just the officers and soldiers. Sparrow Chojiro is the overall leader. That old face with a sharp knife, the expression is not much better. Also because of too much horror. And showing a face of despair. As an ancient person who has lived for more than 2,000 years. Sparrow Chojiro knew very well in his heart. Arankar. Ajukas. Vasto lord, when these horrible nouns. When combined together, what does it represent? That means the whole Soul Society, even Guti 150 13 teams. It will usher in turmoil and crises that have never been seen in hundreds of years. There must be a lot of souls devoured and killed because of the airborne Arankars. Vice Captain Sparrow, what should I do now? Arankar of Vasto Lord level. But even the Shinigami captains are helpless. Katetsu Aizen's voice trembled, called for help from Sparrow Chojiro. As an adjutant, followed Unohana Retsu for many years. Although she has been in the team for a long time. But, among Katetsu Aizen's past Shinigami careers, almost most of the time, the years are quiet. Because of the stable order of the Soul Society, there is very little bloodshed. Under such a premise, Katetsu Aizen barely even has experience fighting Manos Grande. Obviously a Shinigami vice captain. But Katetsu Aizen's immediate reaction. Even worse than ordinary players. Looks like he has no master. The brain is blank. Vice Captain Yongyan, steady your mind and calm down. Evacuate everyone immediately. And get in touch with the Technology Development Bureau as soon as possible. Be sure to let them send the 11th team to the rescue as soon as possible. Sparrow Chojiro ordered decisively. Actually, above these things. It should have been done by him, the general leader. But because of the emergency. And the enemy is two Arankars who stand shoulder to shoulder with Shinigami captains. So Sparrow Chojiro can't take care of too much at the moment. His only thought at the moment. It is to fight side by side with Bai Chen. Hold down the two espadas as much as possible, and buy enough time for the team members to retreat. I see. Katetsu Aizen gritted his teeth. Suppressing the anxiety and fear in my heart. After taking a deep glance at the black cavity passage in the distance. Quickly turn around and organize. Call the Shinigami of the Purification Force. Quickly evacuate and flee this area. And at this time. Standing on the edge of the ruins of the Earth Rift. Bai Chen holding the Haohuo fan. He didn't care about the communication between the two adjutants behind him. From beginning to end, Bai Chen's gaze, keep looking at the black cavity. His brows became furrowed because of this. I didn't expect that. The espada was airborne. And it's Yami and Ulquiorra. Is it a coincidence? It shouldn't be. Without Aizen's permission, the top 4 espada. There is absolutely no way you would blatantly trespass on the Soul Society. At this time, at the end of Bai Chen's line of sight. On the edge of the black cavity channel. 2 figures, one big and one small, appeared coldly from the darkness. The one on the left. Wearing a white Zai Palace uniform. And under the short black hair. It is pale skin like the skin of a dead person. And a pair of emerald green pupils without any emotional fluctuations. The whole body exudes even more. An extremely indifferent icy aura that rejects people thousands of miles away. Black Winged Demon, Ulquiorra. Aizen's most loyal subordinate. None of them, also among you Espada, the only Arankar who has mastered the second stage return blade. And at Ulquiorra's side, he is big and strong. The face is hideous. Yami with a bone mask remaining on his jaw. Grinning now. With a look of arrogance and disdain. Standing at the exit of the black cavity passage, looking down from a high position. Ulquiorra, see, trash Shinigami, after seeing us appear. That ugly gesture of running away in a panic. Yami grinned sarcastically, in a low and heavy voice. Showing absolute contempt for Shinigami. Yami. Don't be complacent. Don't forget Master Aizen, the purpose of ordering us this time. Put one hand in the pocket. In the emerald-like pupils, there is no trace of emotional fluctuations. Ulquiorra is like a cold killing machine. Only the orders given by Aizen are in my eyes. But, although for his coldness, I have long been used to it. But, after hearing the words, Master Aizen, Yami is still used to it. Due to the Manos Grande's inherent population hostility towards the Shinigami. Unhappy and not daring to be blatant, he said in a cold voice. Call, it's Master Aizen again. Ulquiorra, you are so loyal. Yami squinted. He glanced at Ulquiorra out of the corner of his eye. Deliberately using a mocking tone, said Yin and Yang strangely. So. You have a problem. Ignore Yami's gaze and peek. Ulki didn't even twist his neck. There was a chill in the voice. Our espada was born. It's the result of Master Aizen's deliberate gift. No matter how unconvinced BDCI you are in your heart, similar words in the future. I don't want to hear it a second time. It is both a warning. It is also an ultimatum. When these killing intent awe-inspiring words. After passing from the mouth of Ulquiorra, Yami withdrew her gaze embarrassingly, not daring to say anything more. Because he knew very well in his heart. If you dare to talk too much, Keep showing disrespect towards Aizen. Then Ulquiorra must be nostalgic. And use the cruelest means, at the position above his collarbone. Forcibly punch through a virtual hole of the same style. And this is when Ulquiorra takes care of his enemies. The most idiomatic method. None of them feel sorry. I just broke my mouth. Skip the topic just now, let's start the task next. Fortunately, because of partners for many years, and the relationship between the two parties is different from other Arankars. So Yami feels daunted though, but not too flustered. He quickly put the unpleasantness out of his mind. The corners of the mouth formed a cruel arc again. Bai Chen, the 3 seats of the 13th squad. A Shinigami who owns wooden Zanpakutō alone. Ulquiorra was talking. At the same time, he took out a portrait from his pocket. The above is obviously randomly intercepted from a certain video. About Bai Chen's full body photo. Found it. Oh, that guy, he came here on his own initiative. Just when Yami was about to make a glance. But he suddenly found out. Bai Chen with the fire extinguishing fan. Flying alone. And while Yami is making eye contact, Bai Chen's line of sight, just in midair, collided with him. And what makes Yami even more upset, obviously, is the prey they want to find. But when looking at each other, the corner of Bai Chen's mouth curled up in a mocking arc. And this move, there is no doubt that it is deliberately provocative. Interesting. See everything in the eyes. Ulquiorra squeezed lightly with his fingertips. The screenshot of the video about Bai Chen turned into powder in an instant. Yami, let's take the initiative to attack. Although Aizen-sama didn't set any requirements. But we have the right to subdue him and bring him back to Hueco Mundo. Even before leaving Soul Society, Ulquiorra had heard it calmly. About Bai Chen's past achievements, and the ability of Zanpakutō, Wooden Dragon. Yeah, one of the few Vasto lords in Hueco Mundo. And among Uespada, like Uncle Wolf Stark, it is the only Manos Grande who, Arankars himself. No matter how strong Bai Chen's combat power is, Ulquiorra also has absolute confidence. Relying on the innate power of the Black-Winged Demon. Strongly beat Bai Chen, and bring him back to Zai Palace. At the same time, people evacuating in the rear. Among the group, Madarame Makaku carries the unconscious Zaraki Kenpachi on his shoulders. 1 step at a time and 3 turns back, looking worriedly into the distance. He gritted his teeth and said, "Hey, the white-haired old man, are you Shinigami joking? Let Bai Chen fight against 2 Arankars alone. Isn't this crazy? Although the current status. Not in the Shinigami camp. And I still have some prejudice against Shinigami. But this moment, Madarame Makaku still can't help it. Toward Chojiro, who was not far away, who had just asked them to retreat together. A soul torture has been issued. Why, you hundreds of Shinigami, run away desperately when you meet a strong enemy. Isn't this an act of selling teammates? It's just a bunch of scammers." Facing Madarame Makaku's questioning, Sparrow Step Chojiro's eyes twitched, because he was very speechless. Apparently it was anticipated, this act of leaving your companions and running away. It is bound to be talked about by outsiders. Please, I don't want to either. Obviously, the old man is ready to fight alongside Bai Chen. But in the end, I was disgusted by Bai Chen. I'm the one who wants to vomit blood the most. Sparrow Chojiro smiled helplessly. There was an expression of injustice on his face. And in fact, he did not lie. Just now, Chojiro came to Bai Chen's side. Propose yourself to take advantage of the Bankai of Zanpakutō, Yan Ling Wan. Use this to hold back the weaker Yami. But he was rejected by Bai Chen immediately. Bai Chen even persuaded Sparrow Chojiro to leave early. So as not to be accidentally injured in the battle later. Think here. Sparrow Step Chojiro was very speechless, and instantly felt ashamed. Good guy. This age, has even, Bankai, been disliked. This is outrageous. But, just when Sparrow Chojiro felt very embarrassed. The edge of the distant horizon. Suddenly, Bai Chen's voice sounded. Fire. Blast and dance. Chapter 89 Destroy Sero. Yami returns to Blade. The angry beast is coming. Advertise here. Quote. Now it seems that you are obviously worrying too much. Bai Chen, he's not afraid of Arankar at all, well. When heard from afar, after Bai Chen's majestic, drank. Ayasagawa, who was supported by Zaraki Kenpachi on the other side, bowed. Said dumbfoundingly, I wipe, not only take the initiative to fight. Even release the skills first. People who should really worry about themselves. It should be those 2 Arankars instead, right? Just in case you take it lightly. If it doesn't work, it will be killed as soon as it comes out. After all, how strong is Bai Chen's Zanpakutō, big fire extinguishing fan? Everyone has already seen it. Those terrifying blazing flames will burn even the spirit seeds. I'm too young. A person who is more powerful than Boss Zaraki in terms of level cutting. There really is no reason to back down so easily. Madarame Makaku said with a complicated expression. The only thing he felt sorry for was, Zaraki Kenpachi is currently in a coma from exhaustion. If not, you can see the king of flat cutting. carrying a huge nozarashi, the famous scene of slashing Arrancar. One way or another, you guys should follow us and retreat to a safe area first. Arrancar of Vasto Lord is not something that can be easily defeated by mere courage. Different from the optimism of the two, Sparrow Chojiro is always frowning. Although Bai Chen has the only dual-line Zanpakutō in history, may Ulquiorra exist, especially those two lines of dark green tear stains. It's even more so that Chojiro just stares. It was as if I had lost all my courage. A strong intuition told the old man Xiong. The next battle broke out. No matter the intensity or scale, it must be the area of the last few hundred years. Number 3. Along with the entire Zaraki district, and this vast barren border nearby. It will also be completely blown up. At the same time. In midair, flames erupted, with Bai Chen waving the big fire fan in his hand. Condensed by Reiatsu, a swirling blast flame, while distorting the surrounding air. Huge range, mighty, bombarded towards the black tunnel. One way or another, it's right to block the exit of the black cavity passage first. Holding a fan, stamp the air, during the volley flight. Bai Chen glanced past the two espadas, locked directly on the black cavity passage behind them. To avoid the next, there will be other Arrancar, or espada for reinforcements. Bai Chen activates Zanpakutō's ability first. Unleash Uchiha Inferno style instantly. Attack Ulquiorra and Yami at the same time with a wide range of storm flames. Take the opportunity to seal the entire black cavity passage. This is to avoid extra branches. And his behavior. Take the initiative to launch an offensive posture. Naturally offended, the two espadas who love to kill by nature. Oh, obviously is the targeted prey. But you are overconfident, do you want to be a hero? This Bai Chen is really infuriating. Despite saying so. But Yami's face. But because of the oncoming storm flames. And suddenly and violently changed again and again. Since being promoted to espada, he never felt the threat of death again. At this moment, it suddenly rises from the bottom of Yami's heart. It even made him unable to bear the thought of wanting to back down. Yami, shut up. Blindly talking hard and showing off your strength will only show your incompetence and weakness even more. If you don't want to be reduced to ashes, just step aside. Ulquiorra snapped in a cold voice with no expression on his face. He was reprimanded again, but Yami dared not speak out. After some weighing, I judged that I had nothing but return to the regiment. It seems that there is no way to stop the bombardment of the storm and flames. Yami finally retreated behind Ulquiorra wisely. Ulquiorra. Shouldn't you be killed? Yami made an aggressive move on purpose. I'm afraid that Ulquiorra will accidentally roll over because of his arrogance. Compared to this question, instead, what you should ask is, why is there a deviation in the information provided by Aizen-sama? At this time, although on the surface calm, a flame that is allowed to swirl, constantly approaching and zooming in within the range of sight. Yeah, the heart of Ulquiorra, but full of doubts and puzzles. What happened? What about wooden Zanpakutō? Trees and forests can't be said without seeing them. On the contrary, the storm-like flames are about to crush them head-on. That huge flame fan, it's clearly a Zanpakutō of the hot type, right? Although the clues can be seen at a glance. But time is running out for Ulquiorra. He puts one hand in his pocket, indifferently. Point your fingertips forward. Next second, call out, with a thought in Ulquiorra's mind. A super strong Reiatsu unique to Vasto Lord. Along his steel skin body, it exploded unreservedly. Also in the form of a vortex. Condensed and compressed at the front of the fingertips. Then aim at the explosion flame, and blast out instantly. Sero, Arrancar's most used moves, and with the blessing of Vasto Lord Reiatsu. The power of this green Sero is enough to raise this area to the ground. What a terrible battle, is this the power of Vasto Lord? If that green flash sweeps over, I'm afraid all of us will be wiped out in an instant. At this time, has receded to a very distant position. The figures of the Purification Force Shinigami were almost shrinking into black dots. Watch that flash of green quickly take over the entire sky. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat. Couldn't even restrain the impulse, wanting to turn around and run away. Quote. Please take it easy and trust Bai Chen. Don't forget he used to be before joining Gote 13. In Karakura Town in this world, I had the experience of killing Arrancar. Seeing that everyone's morale is low. Everyone has the same downcast look. Katetsu Aizen stepped up just in time. Said calmly in a loud voice. Kill Vasto Lord level Arrancar. Bai Chen, can he really do it? This moment, the Shinigami hesitated. This has never happened before in history. Just listening to it is ridiculous. But, what happened next? But it instantly awakened the lost courage and hope of the Shinigami. I saw the sky in the distance. Boom. After a loud bang. The clouds that finally gathered again. In an instant, it was completely dispelled by the explosion light again. At this time, above the sky, the red light and the green light compete against each other. Flame storm, burning blazingly. While detonating the boiling point, it bombarded the black cavity like a torrent. Spinning, although in the nick of time. The figure fled in an instant. But the white skirts on Ulquiorra and Yami still got burned to varying degrees. Obviously fell into a disadvantage in this confrontation. Hateful, as that flame fan already Bankai. Able to overwhelm your Sero. Unbelievable. After desperately extinguishing the embers on his body. Asking for flowers, Yami gritted his teeth, and let out a heavy sound of displeasure. Looking into Hao Huomie fan's eyes, filled with a strong look of fear. Instead, he became even more afraid to act rashly. Yami, after the confrontation just now, I can confirm that. First of all, there is no error in the intelligence. He did have a wooden Zanpakutō originally. Iron arm. Swipe hard. After dispelling the hot breath that shrouded the surroundings. Ulquiorra lowered his eyes. His cold eyes looked at Richen's waist. The line of sight finally fell. The top of the Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, that has not been unsheathed yet. Probed through the eyes, and the innate powerful sensory nerves of the black-winged demon. Ulquiorra could vaguely feel it. Inside Zanpakutō, wood dragon, the sign of the wave that is different from the flame. Ah, so this guy owns 2 Zanpakutō. Yami froze. Such an outrageous thing. It's the first time he's heard of it. Yes, the second is the second point I just wanted to say. Ulquiorra glanced back. Green pupils stared at Yami, and warned in a low voice. Facing that Shinigami called, Bai Chen. Any tentative tricks are useless in front of him. And the only way to directly defeat him is returning blade. Ulquiorra said firmly. To know, the induction between the strong is relative. Be one of the sealing forces of Hueco Mundo and the Arankar Legion. Just relying on the confrontation just now, Ulquiorra figured it out, whether he or Yami. The two of them normally does not have the power to defeat Bai Chen. Therefore, in addition to, return to the blade. There is no other way. Ulquiorra, you mean, let me return to the sword now. Yami's eyelids twitched, more or less in the heart, some are reluctant. According to his original plan. Against a mere Shinigami. With Ulquiorra up front, just follow behind. Just swallow the soul with a big mouthful. I didn't expect it, not even a single hair of Bai Chen was touched. Now they are going to be forced to return to the blade. Do not hesitate. If you hesitate, you will definitely lose. What happened just now, I won't save you a second time. See Yami's reluctance. Ulquiorra warned coldly. All right, obviously your Sero was blown up. It's really aggrieved to let Lousy fall back now. Yami was very annoyed. He couldn't help complaining angrily. But, Tukao belongs to Tukao, for the command of Ulquiorra. Yami still trusts each other and is willing to obey. So, in front of Bai Chen, and in front of every other Shinigami, Yami pulled out Zanpakutō brazenly, roaring in a sullen annoyance. Get angry, angry beast. The next moment, inside Yami. All Reiatsu accumulated through eating and sleeping. Accompanied by monstrous anger at this moment. Unleash it all at once. Immediately, an incomparably huge Reiatsu beam of light was formed, directly hitting the depths of the clouds. Boom. The air roared. Earthquake. The whole body is enveloped in the beam of Reiatsu light. Under the continuous washing of Reiatsu air waves. Yami's body shape and figure are getting bigger and bigger. Constant violence and savage growth. Just for a moment. It is as huge as a mountain peak. Standing angrily on this barren land. Bring the monstrous power unique to Espada. At the moment show the most vivid mountain. Chapter 90 Huge wooden golem. Upright. Beat Yami. Advertise here. Boom. A gigantic beam of Reiatsu light. It seems to run through the sky and the earth. Under the constant washing and baptism of the vast Reiatsu air waves. Yami after performing sword liberation. In an instant, the incarnation became a legend. The main body of the angry beast that breeds power because of anger. His size. Dozens of times larger than before. Look from a distance. Like a gigantic beast-shaped mountain. Roaring. Fangs bared. Stamped down with a furious kick. Stepping heavily on this barren land. Ha, the thrill of power expansion. It really makes me feel happy. With the huge body completely finalized. What Yami looks like. There have been earth-shaking changes. The white bony mask where the jawbone used to be. At this moment, horizontal and vertical alternate, extremely sharp fangs were formed. And the black bone spurs on both sides of the arm. And a huge tail that swings like a pendulum. In an instant, a hurricane with a height of 100 meters was set off on the spot. And the most creepy, it's still the chassis of the angry beast, the feet of those 12 giant arms. Just a light touch. The ground in the Zaraki area was trampled into pieces in an instant. Ulquiorra, what you just said is correct. Rewrite the number engraved on the shoulder. After transforming into the strongest, 0, Espada. Lousy will never be afraid of that trashy Shinigami called Bai Chen. Because the strength doubled skyrocketing. Yami's self-confidence also swelled up. Original. When I looked at Haohuo and put out the fan. 677. Yami will also show obvious timid eyes. Only dare to hide behind Ulquiorra. The angry clamor of the fox pretending to be the tiger. But now, everything is completely different. After turning into a giant angry beast. Yami has absolute confidence. Once Bai Chen repeats his old trick, he once again casts Blast and Flurry Dance. He needs a little breath. It can easily extinguish all the storm flames. Even together with Bai Chen's figure violently blown away. Yami, as you wish. Take the unscrupulous, vent your anger to your heart's content. Still with one hand in his pocket. But when he was talking, Ulquiorra had an aloof posture. Silently retreated to the side. Not going to fight with Yami. Instead, temporarily hand over this battle to him to take over. Ulquiorra, wait, it won't be long. Laozi will be able to beat Bai Chen to the ground in no time. Yami stepped forward, even if he didn't deliberately accumulate energy. It still caused the ground to shake violently. It was as if a magnitude 10 earthquake had occurred out of thin air. In an instant, a wave rose into the sky. There is a terrifying giant smoke and dust wave hundreds of meters high. Facing such an exaggerated scene, the Shinigami, all members of the purification unit, have almost escaped the scope of the battlefield. Also felt it again. Deep despair and suffocation. This is too exaggerated. Arrancar's body will become so huge. And he seemed to say that he is the strongest Espada. And what does the number 0 mean? Despite the boundless power displayed by Yami. It's almost breathless. But, in addition to fear, Shinigami are still intuitive, captured the information revealed in Yami's words. So full of doubts. Plus, the mysterious number. Is this between Manos Grande or Arrancar? A way of authenticating about power and identity. Among the crowd, Sparrow Step Chojiro frowned. Even if he is as old as him, he has a long lifespan of more than 2,000 years. At this moment, my heart is full of doubts. Over the years. Sparrow Chojiro is the first time I heard it. Such a statement about Espada. But, let Sparrow Chojiro also noticed. Just now. He saw it with his own eyes. Yami is in the process of growing bigger. The number engraved on the arm. From the original, 10, to 10 strangely. If, the so-called, Espada, in the normal sort order. Arrange words from, lowest to highest, numbers. Then how could Yami soar to 10 places in an instant? From the bottom of the ranking to the top of Espada. Such an exaggerated degree of power surge. Isn't it too illogical? Dex, old man Shinigami, it's a good thing you still have the mind to worry about some things. You better hope Gote 13 reinforcements arrive soon. If not, I don't think Bai Chen can hold this huge monster. Madarame Makaku's expression is very serious. The tone seemed very impatient. If you talk about him before, also have full confidence in Bai Chen. B. Come back with Yami's wrath. After seeing the ferocious angry beast, Madarame Makaku immediately gave up all thoughts of resistance. Are you kidding me? Stomp your feet in the face of this light. Monsters that can cause earthquakes. Madarame Makaku even thinks. Even if Yami stands still, let all Shinigami members of the purification unit chop as they please. Maybe cut for 10 days and 10 nights in a row. Until everyone's Zanpakutō is slashed to the curly blade. It's just scraping for Yami. It is simply impossible for the powerful angry beast to break through the defense. But, that's when Madarame Makaku gets frustrated. The little lowly grass deer standing on his shoulder is in a hurry. But still with a smile on his face. With a tone full of childlike innocence, she said in a childish voice. All of you patronize to be frightened by that monster. But I haven't noticed Bai's expression. Since that monster appeared, he has become very excited. When the sound of 8,000 streams. When it came to everyone's ears. Everyone's first reaction was to suddenly widen their eyes. What? Did you hear me right? Bai Chen is excited. There was disbelief in his eyes. Everyone turned their heads at the same time. There was disbelief in his eyes. They all looked at the sky in unison. The sight finally fixed on Bai Chen's profile. Sure enough, I was surprised to find out. Bai Chen was confronting Yami at this moment. On Jun Lang's face. Not only is there no waves, there was even a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. The third seat of Bai Chen is still smiling. How could he be provocative on purpose at such a time? It seems that I am not afraid of that horrible angry beast at all. Because Bai Chen was too calm. So much so that Shinigami, Raidu suspects that they are wrong. But when they stare again and again, Bai Chen's expression never changes. Look at Yami's eyes, although not to the point of disdain. But also relaxed and happy. It's not like facing a strong enemy at all. On the contrary, it is more like looking at it, a toy that can be played with at will. How do I feel? It does not seem necessary to wait for reinforcements from Gote 13 to arrive. Bai Chen alone can play the role of the savior. Looking at Bai Chen's confident back with a knife in one hand. Ace Chuan's eyes were shining, and a great sense of security was born in his heart. Intuition told him, Yami, the seemingly invincible wrath beast. I will definitely be beaten to death by Bai Chen with even stronger power later on. At the same time, the 12th Division, Technology Development Bureau. Captain Maori, are you serious? Are you really not planning to report this matter to the first team? The purification team has sent out rescue signals one after another. Because no one sets foot. In the quiet office, Jin's anxious voice was extraordinarily loud. At this time, he has already passed the communicator. A rescue signal has been received from the Zaraki district. But when Aizen hurriedly reported to Kuretsuchi Mayuri, it was not expected. Kuretsuchi Mayuri never hesitated. He directly rejected the report request proposed by Aizen. How? Do you think there's anything wrong? Or, are you questioning my personal judgment? A hoarse, hollow voice. A faint voice came from under the blue and white mask. Kuretsuchi Mayuri lowered his eyes and looked at Jin coldly. Instead, he asked 3 consecutive questions sharply. Suddenly being confronted in such a face-to-face. Jin was speechless and froze in place in astonishment. He opened his mouth, would love to say something. But after holding back for a long time, I couldn't even say a single word. Snort. Aizen, I know what you're worried about. See the other party's speechless expression in his eyes. Kuretsuchi Mayuri snorted coldly, and said with a cold smile. Remember what I analyzed earlier. As Bai Chen suspected of awakening the second Zanpakutō's inference. Jin nodded dumbfounded. The pupils of the eyes also contracted suddenly. I didn't mean to die. Just because. This is a rare opportunity. Speaking of which, Kuretsuchi Mayuri's eyes became fiery. The original deep voice also had obvious emotional ups and downs. He said with wild anticipation. If my guess is correct. Bai Chen has really awakened Zanpakutō of the heat department again. Then he who has 2 powerful dual-line Zanpakutō at the same time. There must be the ability to rely on one's own strength. Fight off those 2 Arankars, and even, kill them. Now, Kuretsuchi Mayuri seems to be incarnate for a loyal and fanatical fans. For Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon. And I have high hopes for the Huo fan, who has never met before. And this is why he was so bold. The reason why I decided to temporarily conceal the news of Arankar's invasion without authorization. Because Kuretsuchi Mayuri firmly believes. No need to send any reinforcements. Bai Chen and his twin Zanpakutō. Then they can suppress the 2 Arankars with 1 against 2. But, near suddenly, the mouth never closes. He wanted to say something else. But looking at Kuretsuchi Mayuri's excessive fanaticism. And after looking a little crazy, Jin finally gave up the idea of continuing to persuade. Let Kuretsuchi Mayuri go mad. At the same time, Zaraki district battlefield. Boom. A huge body towering into the sky. Every step you take will cause a terrifying earthquake with a radius of hundreds of meters. Yami's expression was extremely excited. The way he looked at Bai Chen seemed to be looking at a small bug that could be crushed to death. Yami grinned. With an arrogant grin, he said. Bai Chen, right. Then what method should I use to kill you next? If you crush your bones and then fall hard from high altitude. Surely those fleeing Shinigami will be terrified in an instant. Yami's eyes widened. With greedy eyes, he lowered his head and stared at Bai Chen. I have already started thinking about various cruel torture methods in my mind. 2. Confronted with his stinky provocation. Bai Chen did not engage in verbal tit for tat. 2. Shin. Hold the Huo fan with 1 hand. Bai Chen's other arm reached out to touch his waist. Outrageously from the inside of the slender scabbard. Pulled out the Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, sharply. Yami. 5.4 You were trembling just now. The reason why you dare to get carried away in front of me now. Isn't it relying on the huge size and strength of the angry beast itself? Although Bai Chen didn't have any intention of deliberately mocking. But in his flat tone. But it vaguely reveals the disdain for angry beasts. And while speaking, Bai Chen raised his hand. Stand Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, in front of you. Then with a thought, he liberated majestically. The tree that soars to the sky. The soil that shakes the earth. The wild wind of nature. The forest that moves the clouds. Unleash the power of nature. Wooden dragon. Momentum explodes. Reiatsu air waves, soaring into the sky. With the shouting of Jifangyu, it gradually spread. Substantial green Reiatsu, along the wooden dragon blade. Vigorously rippling out towards the surroundings. After contacting the ground and the embers, it emitted a strange dark green luster. At the same time, in this terrifying torrent of air waves, Bai Chen's playful voice sounded like a game of cat and mouse. Stupid angry beast, don't you think that only you can expand and become bigger? Next, have a good experience. The painful feeling of being beaten by the even bigger wooden golem. Bai Chen's voice, it seems to have infinite penetrating power. In an instant, it pierced through the surging clouds in the sky. And this moment, the Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, that he holds tightly in his hand. Once again, a blazing and dazzling emerald green light erupted. Also accompanied by, never performed before, the new wood-style occult shout. Arrival, huge wooden golem. Chapter 91 Bai Chen opens Gundam. Aizen's mentality is broken. Advertise here. Boom. Momentum explodes, suddenly soaring into the sky. Bai Chen stands in midair, Zanpakutō, dragon, in his eyes. The dazzling emerald luster burst out. At the same time, it is accompanied by the new wood-style secret technique, when cast for the first time. Shouting loudly, arrival, huge wooden golem. The voice fell, emerald green Reiatsu, explode. Wide range, the sea. spread across the sky, just a few breaths, then forcibly dominated the entire sky. All the clouds and air dyed with a green halo. Brings stunning visual effects. What kind of ability is this? Summon a giant wooden golem. True or false? Except for Bai Chen and his Zanpakutō, wooden dragon. Have the ability to force such a huge Reiatsu into shape. In a remote safe zone. When the Shinigami of the purification unit looked up at the sky. Everyone because of the blinding light. And I almost couldn't open my eyes. Am I right? Bai, he is clearly ready to fight back. 8,000 streams of cute laughing voices. In a quiet atmosphere, it was exceptionally clear and audible. At the same time, it also made the Shinigami more and more unbelievable. It's outrageous. Not to mention having a dual-line Zanpakutō. The power of each Zanpakutō is so powerful. Looking at Bai Chen's stalwart back. Madarame Makaku couldn't help feeling a little dazed. Deep in the eyes, it even came out. The fiery look when you crave power. He glanced down. The 13 that I hold in my hand at the moment. It looks a bit rough, a spear-shaped iron weapon. Immediately I felt extremely disgusted. Quote. They are also weapons used in battle. Why is there such a big gap between them? Madarame Makaku couldn't help complaining to himself. He suddenly felt, compared to Bai Chen's Zanpakutō. This handy weapon has been in use for many years. It seemed as if it had turned into a pile of scrap copper and rotten iron in an instant. There is no more attraction. Quote. Since when we were fighting Bai Chen just now, bigger picture and bigger also had the urge to become a Shinigami, for a brief moment. Actually, not just Madarame Makaku, even his close friend Yasugawa bowed to him personally. It was also strongly infected at the moment. His expression is complicated. And said with great anticipation. So, wait until this unexpected storm is over. The three of us are traveling together, let's go to Seraiti. This moment, Yasugawa has made up his mind completely. Afterwards, no matter what, they must abandon the past. Join Gote 13. Become a Shinigami with Zanpakutō. Compared with ordinary swords, Yasugawa is more enthusiastic in person. Like Bai Chen, he can easily dominate the sky with his hands and feet. At the same time, under the awe-inspiring eyes of everyone. In the sky, all green Reiatsu, with Bai Chen's willpower manipulation. And under the fearful hostility of Yami, Ulquiorra. The compression of the rules into a ball. Soon a behemoth in human form was formed. What's this? Cold sweat oozed from Yami's forehead. The savage steps that keep crushing the ground. Also at this moment, because of inexplicable anxiety and fear. And suddenly stopped. Don't dare to move forward. Behind Yami, Ulquiorra was expressionless though. But the green eyes also shrank suddenly at this moment. It's like seeing something terrible. Yes, even the black-winged demon. Also after being finalized by Reiatsu of Wood Dragon. What it transformed into is that gigantic wooden golem Arhat standing upright. And feel awe and shock. At this time, boom. The sound of heavy objects falling. The earth shook and the mountains shook. There was a terrifying sonic boom. Like a dimensional sound wave, it detonated all the spiritual particles in the air. And in the green light soaring into the sky, one is hundreds of meters tall, directly breaking through the clouds. A gigantic wooden golem that reaches almost to the top of the sky. Stand tall. Shock landing. Its enormous size. Light as the black shadow formed by the sun. That's what engulfed Yami. And Yami's huge size is already exaggerated enough. But in sharp contrast, instantly appears very small, no longer has the slightest oppressive force. It seems more like a 3-year-old child. When facing a 2-meter-tall adult man. The formed visual sensory aspect. Extremely strong contrast. Damn it. What the hell? A gigantic wooden golem that is several times bigger than Yami. This is too outrageous. At this time, the Shinigami of the purification force. Everyone froze in place like a sculpture. And in an instant, the pupils of the eyes widened to the maximum. It's almost too big to hold the wooden golem's huge figure. The huge angry beast behind the blade. It brought despair and panic. B4. The gigantic wooden golem that is truly majestic at the moment. That kind of terrible oppressive force that turns its back on all living beings. It's just that people can't help but want to kneel down on the spot. Face this invincible behemoth. The Shinigami feel like they are looking at gods in a trance. Truly from the heart. Can't help but want to pay homage. I was in the atrium of the first team before. The soaring wooden dragon that intimidates all Captain Shinigami. It's actually wrapped around one of the arms. This wooden golem ability, isn't it really Bankai? This moment, when you see the giant wooden golem above the arm. That line against his terrifying size. It doesn't look that huge, but still has the power of the wooden dragon when it reaches the sky. Katetsu Aizen was stunned for a moment. His expression looked like he had seen a ghost. The whole person covered their mouths in horror. The degree of shock in her heart almost made her faint. Vice Captain Yongyan, you are right. Bai Chen's Zanpakutō, wooden dragon, just keeps getting outrageous. This huge wooden golem like a god. What the hell, it's just a Shikai skill. This is too unfair. As in the first team atrium that day. People who have personally experienced the oppression of the wooden dragon. Sparrow Chojiro direct defense. While I couldn't help swearing, I even got red eyes. I wipe. Why? Although already known. Zanpakutō, wood dragon, is a shikai, comparable to others have solved, Zeon Zanpakutō. But, Sparrow Chojiro really thought, use the forest and trees to summon the flying dragon. This is already the limit of the wood Zanpakutō. I didn't expect it. The wooden dragon that once intimidated the captains. Now it's just a pendant on the arm of the giant wooden golem. What an outrageous thing this is. Now, even if you see it with your own eyes. Sparrow Chojiro is still going crazy. Even if Bai Chen is one of his own, he is the savior of all the Shinigami on the scene. But Chojiro still couldn't help it. Crazy jealousy and envy. Saliva is almost left behind. At the same time, the underground secret room of the 5th Division. Boom, boom, boom. The moment when the giant wooden golem descends. Originally located near the Zaraki district. Those hidden surveillance devices used to surreptitiously record data. Now, screen for each instrument. All because of data soaring. The limit of the load was exceeded in an instant. As a result, it is impossible to continue recording, and the screen is directly fried. Quote question mark exclamation mark quote. What's the situation? All the monitoring equipment actually exploded. What happened in the Zaraki district? Will it lead to such a strange supernatural phenomenon? In the flying shards of glass. The Aizen trio who were secretly observing here. All because of the mutation that happened in front of them. Exclaimed one after another in unison. Captain Aizen. At present, the situation seems to be very pessimistic. Ichimaru Jin's expression changed slightly. He has always been as cunning as a fox. At this moment, he froze in place, suddenly feeling a little at a loss. This weird scene happened to the eyes. Don't know how to deal with it at all. Silver. This kind of obvious thing. You don't need to deliberately remind me. Say no to Ichimaru Jin. Even Aizen who was used to being in control. It is completely restless at the moment. Aizen frowned. The gaze under the black-rimmed glasses. He stared at the shattered glass shards all over the floor. Some couldn't believe what was happening in front of them. Master Aizen. Could it be Yami or Ulquiorra that fell? That's why it was overloaded due to overpressure. Causing all the monitoring equipment to explode at the same time. Suppressing uneasiness and palpitations. Tusen Kanami asked hurriedly. However, these words have just been spoken. It was immediately denied by Aizen. Impossible. Yes, you are too overestimating the experience of Tien Ren returning to the blade. Aizen kept frowning. Disdain for Espada was revealed in the words. Said in a firm voice. Even Ulquiorra returning blade. 0.093 inches. The closed Reiatsu released at that moment. It is also impossible to influence Seraiti from Zaraki district out of thin air. Only when Reiatsu is so strong that even the space is almost unbearable. It may lead to the occurrence of the bizarre incident just now. Now, deep inside Aizen, I can't help but have an urge to be there in person. It's not that he intends to slap his face. Overthrow the plan you made before. But because, Aizen couldn't even help but worry. In case of unexpected accidents and changes really happen. If Ulquiorra is directly killed, wouldn't that be equivalent to? People are dead, the images recorded by the common eye. Also be obliterated for Ulquiorra, thus leading to the disappearance together. And then, not to mention losing his most loyal subordinate for no reason. Even the truth of the scene is unknown. For Aizen, this is absolutely intolerable. He doesn't like the feeling that the situation is out of control. Ito, just when Aizen's mentality was shaken, began to gradually realize this invasion storm. When it is developing in the opposite direction to what he originally expected. The battle over there in the Zaraki district. It has become a one-sided crushing situation. Return to the Zaraki area. Shunpo, the figure of Bai Chen, disappeared from midair. When it appeared again, it suddenly appeared on top of the giant wooden golem. In his left hand he holds a wooden dragon in the shape of a sickle. In his right hand, he holds a huge fiery red fire extinguishing fan. Under the continuous blowing of cold air at an altitude of hundreds of meters. Bai Chen's black hair danced. The death tyrant outfit on his body made a loud noise. The whole person is high-spirited and occupies an unparalleled high position. It is no longer a step away from the sky. Rather, almost completely, right Rukongai's build-up fusion. It seems like a supreme god overlooking all living beings. Ah, finally understood. Why during the ninja war period, Uchiha Madara and Nizuzi Sasuke. Why do you like to summon the full-body Susanoo? The corners of Bai Chen's mouth turned up. Condescending, looking down into the distance, looking up at himself. Because of excessive fear, and the shivering beast Yami. Then, with a happy mood, he said freely. This feeling of driving a Gundam. It's simply invincible. Chapter 92 Sarrow-tailed beast bomb. Brutal headshot. Advertise here. Monster. This Bai Chen. Absolutely a monster. Why is his Zanpakutō so strong? Why is it that just Shikai has more than me? It's more than 10 times stronger. Ulquiorra. Now the two of us are about to be completely finished. At this time, Out of instinctive fear, and the deep despair that arises when facing death. The incomparably huge body of the angry beast suddenly curled up into a ball. If it wasn't for Yami's constant hysterical rants like crazy. It can even be misleading. It's a giant moving mountain of meat. A living target waiting to be beaten and beaten at any time. 111. If it was before, take Ulquiorra's character temper. Seeing Yami yelling like that, I will definitely scold him in a cold voice immediately and order him to shut up immediately. Watch the gigantic wooden golem rise to the sky. Ulquiorra is completely autistic right now. To know. He is cold and arrogant. Always looked down upon other species than Manos Grande. Past. In Ulquiorra's eyes. Humans are good too. 33. Both are rubbish. Only worthy of becoming a soul supplement when Manos Grande devours souls. At this very moment, facing a torrent of spiritual power. A huge wooden golem that was condensed and finalized. No matter how reluctant Ulquiorra was in his heart. I also have to admit, when facing a higher level of transcendent power. From the moment it was given a number, the Espada was born to kill. Instead, they become as hopeless and helpless as ordinary human beings. And at this moment, Ulquiorra is all about looking. Reiatsu unique to Vasto Lord that flows continuously in the body. It seems to be about to stagnate. Apparently, they can no longer bear the oppression brought by the huge wooden golem. Seeing that Ulquiorra didn't respond, Yami swallowed in horror, her trembling voice intermittently. Ulquiorra, how about running back to Hueco Mundo immediately? Knowing to say such a thing. For the first time leaving Hueco Mundo. For Espada who is out on a mission. Undoubtedly represents utter disgrace and failure. Yami was still trembling, desperately prodding, regardless of face. Anyway, your eyes should have recorded everything, right? If that's the case, this mission can be regarded as barely completed. Even if you fled back to Hueco Mundo in embarrassment, you shouldn't be punished afterwards. However, as Yami comforts himself, after turning into the body of the angry beast, his voice also swelled and became louder. So even Yami has deliberately lowered the volume to the minimum. But what he said just now was a complete confession. Still clearly heard by Bai Chen above the sky. Are you going to run away? Bai Chen holds two swords. A sneer of disapproval. Yami. You better save it. Do you really think Soul Society is a back garden where you can come and go? Bai Chen directly raised his hand. And the Gundam, driven by him, the huge wooden golem. They simultaneously raised their giant arms. Although wooden golem Lohan does not hold a knife in his hand. But the soaring wooden dragon wrapped around its arm. But roaring with teeth and claws. Occupy the high ground and roar at the Yami dragon of its size. Boom. An extremely terrifying sound wave. Blast through the skies of Rukongai again. When the substantial Reiatsu blast falls from the sky like a waterfall. Yami under pressure. The incomparably huge body of the angry beast actually staggered and retreated tremblingly. If it weren't for 12 legs standing together, I'm afraid his whole body has already been overthrown by violence. Extremely distant location. The sound of gasping for air came and went. Thanks to Sparrow Chojiro's call, hundreds of Shinigami from the purification unit, together for Reiatsu release. Temporarily built a spiritual barrier. Only in this way can I barely resist the strong wind of Reiatsu that keeps coming. But when they are separated by an extremely long distance. After watching the distressed situation of Angry Beast. Everyone was shocked. Once again, I couldn't help but feel the power of the wooden Zanpakutō. Once you get entangled by that huge wooden dragon. Rage Beast will soon be smashed by wooden golem Luohan. Madarame Makaku was dumbfounded. He still can't believe it. He was completely shocked. What I thought was an escape game. But suddenly reversed in an instant. Unexpectedly, a disagreement turned into a crushing situation. This, lay down, feeling, even made Madarame Makaku not quite fit. After all followed Zaraki Kenpachi in the past, when fighting in Rukongai. Which time was it not a bloody fight? In the end it is possible to defeat the enemy. And even Zaraki Kenpachi rarely has a standard difference with his opponent. This kind of power gap is obviously worse by several grades. Reality is an eye-opener for Madarame Makaku. Yes. A corner, you're right. It's also fortunate that Boss Zaraki has already passed out a long time ago. Otherwise, if Bai Chen is angered, it may be long before the Arrancar invasion. Boss Zaraki has already been slapped flat. Yasugawa bowed and patted his chest. A terrified reaction. Finished. He cast a sideways glance over his shoulder. Looking at the current lying on the medical stretcher. Zaraki Kenpachi receiving emergency treatment from members of the 4th Squad. Secretly sweating for the king of Ping Slash. And I am grateful to Bai Chen for his deliberate mercy. Otherwise, scared of this world, there is no such thing as the king of flat slashing anymore. At the same time, under the terrified eyes of the crowd. Driven by Bai Chen's mind, the giant wooden dragon soars through the clouds. Even if the wooden golem Lohan stays put. But the wooden dragon's solo dive still frightened Yami. Damn. Lousy is not a nutrient in the soil. Don't try to suck all the Reiatsu out of me. Since before departure, Yami also paid special attention to it. About the abilities, moves and characteristics of Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon. He has already mastered it in advance. The Wood Dragon was able to rob Reiatsu of this information. In order to prevent being entangled by the wooden dragon. Sero. Yami Fang's hunting exposed. He opened his mouth wide in astonishment. It sucked in the surrounding air like a whale crazily. And then, furious, instant blasted Sero. Boom. Red flashes swept across the sky, while rendering the sky into a red background. Carrying the power of destroying the world. Seeing that it is about to crash into the huge wooden dragon head-on. Facing the full blow of the angry beast. It's unlikely that the wooden dragon will be directly pierced through the body, right? Although Yang Yin won't feel scared anymore. But at the moment, I still can't take my eyes off it. Can't help but feel a little worried. After all. Before this mission, she hasn't even seen the lowest Jillian. Let alone facing a bunch of Seros of this size. This is a super powerful attack that can wipe out most of the team building. However, Sparrow Chojiro has the opposite opinion. The wooden dragon was pierced. Vice Captain Yang Yin. You still don't have enough confidence in Bai Chen and his wood-type Zanpakutō. In my opinion, that angry beast Yami should be more thoughtful. Whether he can handle his own Sero next. Sparrow Chojiro said intriguingly. What's the meaning? You think that massive Sero beam will be pushed back? Katetsu Azane is stunned. If it really happens as Chojiro said. Then substitute into Yami's personal vision. That's really disappointing. And next, real-time battle situation. It was exactly as Sparrow Chojiro expected. Bai Chen pilots a Gundam. Under the attention of everyone, I saw the Japanese hand fancy operation. Mu long. Absorb. No action was seen from Bai Chen either. When he shouted, it fell from the sky. From a height of hundreds of meters, when it is passed to the ground. The wooden dragon actually speeds up and dives. Actively ramming towards the Sero beam. What? Yami was dumbfounded. Can't help but tremble with fear. He never thought of it anyway. The Sero blasted by Reiatsu who accumulated the whole body. It turned out to be in Bai Chen's eyes. No threat. This is really quite disappointing. However, what happened next? It made Yami completely terrified until his soul trembled. At this time, above the sky, although the collision happened. But the expected explosion did not happen. How can this be? Not only absorbed Sero, and recompressed, surprised this time. No more Yami, but Ulquiorra watching from the back. Ulquiorra's cold face with 2 lines of green tears. Finally, it is no longer a cold expression of facial paralysis. Instead, there was obvious horror and shock. Because. At this time his green pupils. It is reflected, after Sero is compressed. It turned into a giant red Reiatsu ball. It was tightly held in the mouth of the wooden dragon. Neither exploded nor spilled any blasting energy. Call out. With Bai Chen's deliberate control. Huge wooden dragon with a Sero ball of light in its mouth. Then suddenly the dragon turned around. Then in everyone's horrified eyes. Throw the red Sero light ball directly, like a throwing game. Tossed in a lob arc to Good Jiao wooden golem Lohan. Damn it, there is still such an operation. The audience was dumbfounded, either Shinigami of the Purification Force, Yami, and Ulquiorra who were the parties involved. Everyone after seeing this scene. Eyeballs flew out uncontrollably. They were all stunned by Bai Chen's deliberate show of manipulation. As this frightening. When I was in Ninja World, Senju Hashirama used the same method. Fight the tailed beast bomb from 9 tails. Condescending. Overlook the audience, with super long distance vision. After seeing everyone's expressions in their eyes. A satisfied smile appeared on Bai Chen's handsome face. Then, if you get headshot by the Sero that you blasted. This experience should be very hopeless. Bai Chen raised his hand again. Wooden golem Luohan movement synchronization. Huge arms, straight forward. With incomparable precision, he caught the Sero light ball steadily in midair. Meet Yami's desperate eyes. The huge wooden arm pressed down violently. Just press and hold Yami's head. And smashed the Sero ball of light on his forehead. Finally, boom. Sero explodes. Yami's head is blooming. An incomparably huge body, in the light of the explosion. Crashed and fell to the ground. He is directly the Sero who was blasted by himself. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, the cruel public headshot. Chapter 93 forced to return to the blade. Block it. Black Wing Demon. Advertise here. Boom. Sero explodes. Flash burst. In the deafening explosion sound. The destructive red light wave was released suddenly. Countless lightning strikes, released from the blast of light. Let Yami's head blossom while falling from the sky. Not just tearing apart the clouds. And it also caused great damage to the land in the Zaraki area. And this shocking scene, in an instant, the eyes of everyone present lit up. Look quickly. The head of angry beast Yami was blown right through. Obviously it was a killer move with all my strength, but in the end it was a funeral for myself. In front of the gigantic wooden golem Arhat, the monstrous furious beast that was before. At this moment, I am completely reduced to a toy that has been ravaged at will. This moment, purification forced Shinigami hiding behind the Reiatsu rampart. Either be shocked, either full of excitement, everyone's emotions, all felt strongly. The same is true for Chojiro, who is the general leader of the team. I didn't expect Arankar at the level of Ijukas. I was crushed and beaten without any power to fight back. How powerful is the huge wooden golem summoned by Bai Chen? Sparrow Chojiro was dumbfounded. The three views and horizons have been subverted again. Original. Sparrow Chojiro is expected. Bai Chen will definitely drive a Gundam and crush Yami without any suspense. Unexpectedly, the power of the giant wooden golem Rohan. How could it reach such a level? It simply has the power to blow up everything. It's even unrivaled. No exaggeration either. Quote ? Quote. Katetsu Aizen froze in place. Because the battle ended too quickly, the process was really too easy for 027. So much so that Katetsu Aizen will meet for a while. Still haven't fully recovered from the shock. She just felt so unreal. Thoroughly against Bai Chen, and the powerful power of Zanpakutō of the wood system. Worship to 5 body prostration. Attend to personally. 8,000 streams. Did you too see that? The companion of Yami, that vasto Lord Arankar. He finally no longer has a paralyzed expression. It's that the mentality has completely broken the defense and exploded. Shocked and excited, Madarame Makaku also noticeably noticed. At this moment, Ulquiorra's expression is cloudy and uncertain. No longer as arrogant and cold as before. In the emerald green pupils, there was obviously a panic that couldn't be hidden. Apparently, Ulquiorra didn't expect that at all. Yami was directly instigated by him and ordered to return to the sword. It's so vulnerable. After transforming into the main body of the angry beast, it hasn't even jumped for a long time. It was actually knocked down by one blow. Finally, I understand. Why, when a lot of information has been collected. Master Aizen will also make a special trip to order me to invade the Soul Society to test. Bai Chen and his wood Zanpakutō are indeed invulnerable. Now, Ulquiorra is completely taken, and watched Yami fall to the ground in the smoke and dust. Except for the intense flickering of the eyes, Ulquiorra is completely speechless. Huge disparity in power. Make him this vasto Lord Arankar. Also deeply aware of the powerful power of the wood Zanpakutō. What should I do next? For a moment, Ulquiorra hesitated. BDDH. He has a cold and arrogant personality. Naturally, she won't easily admit cowardice, and give in and run away. Yeah, right now because my head is blooming. Yami has temporarily lost the ability to continue fighting. That is to say, in terms of outcome, this time the invasion. It has been a total failure. For Ulquiorra personally. Because the return to the edge has not been carried out yet. Therefore, fear and shaken mentality do not mean giving up in despair. Ulquiorra even thinks, if you do your best, to return to the blade. Even after returning to the blade in the second stage, the body of the Black-Winged Demon. Able to work with giant wooden arhats. Have the power to fight. At the same time, 12th Squad Team Building. Inside the Technology Development Bureau building. Quote. Bai Chen and his wood line Zanpakutō. Sure enough, I didn't live up to my expectations and optimism. It was killed with one blow so quickly. The weaker Ijuka's Arankar. Red and green light, in front of the constantly flickering monitoring instrument. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's hoarse, high-pitched laughter rang out. Thanks from start to finish. Monitoring data has not been interrupted. Therefore, through wildly volatile peaks, even if you don't go to the Zaraki area and watch the battle live. Kuretsuchi Mayuri is still the first to know. Yami was killed violently by Sero Light Ball. And the face under the blue and white mask. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's expression became crazy and excited because of this. As ferocious as a lunatic, infiltrating people. Team, Captain. I'm sorry, I was superficial just now, I should trust your speculation. Behind Kuretsuchi Mayuri, there came the respectful voice of Jin's 3 seats. At this time, whenever I see those because of the numerical value burst. And when the screen becomes completely full of disordered data. A near-pupil earthquake, I froze in place in bewilderment. He can't imagine that there is no one but Ryujin Jaka in this world. Bai Chen's wooden line Zanpakutō, wooden dragon. The combat power and attack power are actually so exaggerated. By my own strength, in a very short time, killing a Spada Arankar comparable to Captain Shinigami. This kind of thing. Take a look at the entire Gotei 13. I am afraid that only the captain can do it alone. Agent, just wait. From the existing monitoring data. Ijuka's Arankar was beaten, just an appetizer. In the eye socket, the eyeballs kept rolling. In Kuretsuchi Mayuri's deep words, there is a strong expectation. Don't forget the one who invaded together. There is also an Arankar of Vasto Lord. And the next battle with him is the real focus. As a legend, in the entire Hueco Mundo, it stands at the top of the food chain. Vasto Lord Arankar, there is no way he will escape in disgrace to Hueco Mundo. So the intensity of the next battle, it will definitely continue to rise to a higher level. In the end, Kuretsuchi Mayuri couldn't bear it anymore. Licking his lips greedily with the tip of his tongue. And in the low voice, it also seems to have been prophesied. Ulquiorra will definitely return to the blade next. Really, return to the Zaraki district battlefield. When the smoke and dust filled with crimson luster completely dissipated. On the land that was already torn apart, out of thin air, a huge ground fissure ruin pit with a diameter of up to 100 meters appeared. And the seriously injured wrath beast Yami. On the other hand, he collapsed in pain, unable to move his huge body. Looks like fish on a chopping board. Maybe ruthlessly slaughtered at any time. Oh, although I was defeated and died in battle. This is what the weak deserved. But, green pupil light. Stay on Yami. Ulquiorra's eyes flashed, a rare hint of it. Other between Espada and Arankar. Real emotion like never before. Then he muttered coldly to himself. Revenge is fine. Self-protection is also good. To be able to come back to Hueco Mundo is a winner. Instead of fleeing in embarrassment. While talking, Ulquiorra reached out, from the top of the white void palace uniform girdle. Pulled Zanpakutō out of its scabbard. Boom. This moment, a powerful one, totally substantive chill, suddenly burst out from the steel skin body. In an instant, the surrounding air could not stop shaking and roaring. And this fierce momentum, and Ulquiorra grips the hilt hard. The act of erecting Zanpakutō before him, obviously means. This Aizen's most loyal subordinate, Vasto Lord Arankar is steward of the Void Palace. Because of the invincible power of the wooden golem. Had to be forced to return to the blade. At the same time. Standing on top of the wooden golem Rohan. Bai Chen almost blending with the clouds. Naturally, I noticed Ulquiorra's intention at the first time. Can't help but eyes full of fighting spirit. Ulquiorra. This is preparation for sword liberation. It seems that he is indeed one of the Espadas. In terms of emotion, it's the most special one. Actually, just be a little bit tougher. Leaving aside the half-dead Yami. With the power and abilities of Ulquiorra. In this barren borderland, as long as he is determined to escape back to Hueco Mundo. Bai Chen is really different and sure he can stop it. And Ulquiorra is also very likely. Be safe and sound. Get out. But, in order not to leave Yami to die alone. Ulquiorra is so affectionate and righteous. His choice. Decide on the behavior of returning to the blade. It still made Bai Chen feel a little surprised. And at this time. Just in this brief gap. The momentum of Ulquiorra. Quickly climbed to the top. The Zanpakutō he held in his hand. Blade forward. Point to the sky. At the same time, the low-pitched sword liberation language. Not a single trace of mood swings. Indifferent resounds through the earth. Block it. Black Wing Demon. This moment, rumored to be born from darkness. Accompanied by the way of nothingness, Black Wing Demon. The big E that is about to come to Soul Society in full glory. And this one happened suddenly. Bai Chen does it all by himself. Fight alone with two Espadas. It seems that it has arrived in an instant. An unprecedented level of intensification. Chapter 94 Desperate Black Sero. Summon the fivefold Rashomon. Advertise here. Originally just to carry out the mission. It's just a tentative purpose to invade the Soul Society. I didn't expect that I was forced to return to the blade too. Under the gaze of hundreds of eyes in the audience. Ulquiorra raised his hand slowly. With emerald green pupils, looking at Bai Chen standing on top of wooden golem. While muttering to himself in a low voice. Vasto Lord's unique Reiatsu also exploded at this moment. Boom. Atmospheric roar. Spiritual power exploded. The skirt of Shu Yagong's uniform. In the Reiatsu blast, it kept swinging back and forth. And when the momentum reaches the most depressing moment. Block it. Black Wing Demon. Low and indifferent. No emotional ups and downs. Only outrageous indifference words. Suddenly, it came out from the mouth of the Black Wing Demon. Moment. Let the atmosphere of this ruined battlefield. It has reached an unprecedented level of intensification. Also to the Shinigami of the Purification Unit. Brought endless fear. Black Wing Demon. What a scary name. Although Espada's so-called returning edge, I have seen it once just now. But compared to that angry beast Yami who was knocked down with one blow. This Black Wing Demon with a body similar to a human. But the real Vasto Lord. It's hard to imagine how powerful the full power he possesses after returning to the blade will be. Now, just hearing the liberation language. The Shinigami of the Purification Unit, the body can't help it. Shaking violently. The pores of the skin all over the body burst instantly because of this. It feels like a scalp tingling. Incomparable fear. Deep into the soul. Oh, the battle situation actually broke through again. I feel more and more that my strength is vulnerable. In the chaotic crowd, Madarame Makaku gritted his teeth, his head full of anxiety. As a combat madman who was keen on bloodshed and fighting. Witness it with your own eyes again and again. Bai Chen's dual-line Zanpakutō. And when Espada is returning to the blade. After the peak power and momentum that erupted. Madarame Makaku suddenly realized. The way he used to fight. The kind of slashing and spear skills that rely on fighting spirit and brute force. It's actually a joke. And the so-called flat cut, in the face of more powerful abilities and rules. Simply useless. At this time, be a witness to this battle of the gods. Madarame Makaku has to admit to all the fights he's been through in the past. It's more like a child playing in mud. It's just messed up. Thank goodness. Fortunately, there is Bai Chen standing in front. Otherwise, that black-winged demon, just relying on his momentum. That's enough to suffocate us all to the ground. Ayasagawa bowed and his voice trembled. Even in this safe area where they are currently. It is hundreds of meters away from the battlefield. And everyone also teamed up to build the Reiatsu barrier to block it. When Ulquiorra returns to the blade. When the wave of Reiatsu burst out of the body hits me head on. Ayasagawa bowed himself and immediately felt that it became difficult to breathe. It's even on the verge of suffocation. Or is it just a precursor to returning to the blade? The body of the black-winged demon has not really descended yet. And the main target of this Reiatsu blast. It's Bai Chen who is currently driving a Gundam. It can be seen from this. Even if Bai Chen didn't play it on purpose. At this moment, he seems to be the savior in Ace Chuan's heart. Not far away, compared to Zaraki group of two. In addition to feeling the same fear. Chojiro, who is the general leader of the team, also has an anxious and irritable expression on his face. What happened? The people in the Technology Development Bureau are all invisible. Why has it been so long? Except for the docking at the beginning. The communication equipment no longer has any signal response. There is no more gentlemanly demeanor. Sparrow Chojiro's heart is at this moment. A violent personality like Manos Grande was born. I can't help but growl. Sasaki, Vice Captain. The more this is the case, the more we should stabilize our mentality. I believe in Captain Mayuri's character. It's already such a time, he will never make fun of the lives of the soldiers. Watching Sparrow Chojiro's emotions almost out of control. Although it is difficult to protect itself. Katetsu Aizen was still fighting back his fear. Trying to use words to appease the emotions of the Western old man. 2. What Katetsu Aizen doesn't know is, at this time, she made a vow, and she was short of Kuretsuchi Mayuri who used her personality as a guarantee. It's in the Technology Development Bureau right now. Excited to laugh out loud. Sure enough, everything is as I expected. That Vasto Lord Arankar. Was also unchained and restricted. We fought with all our strength. Jin, let all the instruments work immediately. Be sure to send any data for everything that follows. Give me a record of everything. Arms with blue veins exposed on the surface. Support it firmly on the operating table of the monitoring instrument. Kuretsuchi Mayuri's crazy laugh of excitement. The laughter is full of fanaticism, full of the achievements that are determined to be achieved. According to this pervert mad scientist. Next, use the power of the entire Technology Development Bureau. He's about to get a copy. Combat literature on the dual lines of Zanpakutō and Vasto Lord Arankar. And these two records. But since the birth of Gote 13, it has never been a priceless treasure. As long as everything is recorded perfectly. And then put a lot of energy into research experiments. I was able to go one step further and analyze the power boundary between Shinigami and Manos Grande. Thus opening a whole new door to a higher dimension. Although not eager and chasing power. But, in search of truth. And the fanatical pursuit of higher level scientific research. Knowing that my current behavior is playing with fire. But Kuretsuchi Mayuri is still crazy, getting more and more crazy. But, compared to the crazy Kuretsuchi Mayuri. The shivering Jin was always behind him, suppressing his fear. At this moment, there is another completely different idea in my mind. Quote exclamation mark. Quote. Captain Mayuri is completely obsessed. He completely ignored all the equipment present. Because I have been deliberately shielding and blocking Reiatsu fluctuations. Already on the verge of tipping point. Think here. Jin couldn't help being afraid for a while. He has already clearly felt that things are about to be hidden. As the situation in the Zaraki district escalates. Even if the battle location is thousands of miles away from Jingling Court. It must also be because the power is too strong. And caused the entire Soul Society, Gote 13 to stir up. And in fact, what happened next? It was exactly as Jin had predicted. Completely to the verge of losing control. Return to the Zaraki area. With the soaring Reiatsu air waves. On the broken earth, all the stone chips were swept away. Not waiting for Ulquiorra itself. Thoroughly reveal the true face of Mount Lu. Showing a dark green color, real rain. It's like an airborne downpour. In the case of the scorching sun, raindrops are splashing everywhere. He slapped everyone's face straight in the face. Shinigami of the Purification Force once again. It was a big shock. What's this? Phantom raindrops because of Reiatsu. This is too weird. When everyone tries to reach out and wipe. But they were horrified to find that what they thought was raindrops. Actually just because. After the sword is liberated, Reiatsu of Ulquiorra. It has reached a level of unprecedented expansion. That's why there are such weird supernatural phenomena. Too exaggerated. Obviously the same mysterious, Espada. But why is there such a big gap in strength between these two Arankars? Is there a problem with the serial number? Madarame Makaku frowned. While the expression is constantly changing drastically. Deep down in my heart, I can't help but have doubts. He subconsciously felt, are Yami bragging? He used to call himself, the strongest Espada. It's just a hay on the spur of the moment when the power is expanding. Yeah, as for the serial number of the angry beast, why did it suddenly become 0? This Madarame Makaku racked his brains. Still can't figure it out. And by comparison, he prefers to believe it. Ulquiorra, the head of Arrancar. The strongest Espada worthy of the name. And at this time, surprised voices sounded. Look quickly. After the Reiatsu rain disappears, the appearance of Vasto Lord has completely changed. Black Wing Demon. It's too scary. At this time, following the burst just now, bringing a shocking sight of Reiatsu, the rain has cleared. In the sky, amidst the waves, Ulquiorra appears. After returning to the blade. Regardless of appearance or appearance characteristics, the appearance of Ulquiorra has changed drastically. The original one, the white Void Knight Palace uniform, disappear. Instead, it's all connected together, perfectly fitted, oversized white dress. Other than that, above the skull, originally only half of the mutilated mask. At the moment the restoration becomes a white two-horned helmet. Look from afar, like a luxurious crown, the coronation of the Black Wing Demon is bestowed. It further highlights the unique boundless power of Vasto Lord. Boom. After revealing the real body, surroundings of Ulquiorra. Dark green Reiatsu stirring, even if he didn't do anything on purpose. Just standing with one hand in his pocket, expressionless. But the pair of huge black wings behind him. But it blocked the sun for an instant. Let the light on the entire battlefield become dim in an instant. It seems like the night is coming. I see. No wonder in Hueco Mundo, Aizen expressly stipulates. Top 4 Espada, under the sky cover for sword liberation. 0. At this time, standing on top of the wooden golem Rohan. Looking at the black wing demon that blocks the sky and the sun. Bai Chen has to admit, Ulquiorra is very strong. Even if it's just a return to the blade, for now. The aura naturally exuded by the black wing demon. Already, the sky of Rukongai has a clear limit of distortion. This, undoubtedly, it is beyond tolerance. A conspicuous overpressure feature that will only appear. But, surprise is only a moment. Bai Chen quickly calmed down. My heart became calm again. If it's just a return to the blade. Still can't shake my wooden golem power. Bai Chen muttered to himself. But these words seem to be separated by air. As heard by Ulquiorra. Boom. The wide black wings spread out suddenly. Ulquiorra raised his eyes and met Bai Chen's gaze. Said in an indifferent cold voice. White. I hope you don't waver later. Keep posture. Ever nervous, don't let anyone loose. Ulquiorra was talking. At the same time, he raised his fingertips, and the transcendent Reiatsu in his body exploded with all his strength. With a confident voice, he said. You probably haven't seen it before. Vasto Lord Arrancar, Black Sero after returning blade. I'll use this power right away. Destroy your proud wooden golem. The voice fell. Ulquiorra's fingertips. Like a black vortex, it exudes a black flash that is endlessly dead. At an incomparable speed, they quickly condensed together. Boom. Black spread. Ink stained the entire sky. It makes the top of the Zaraki area seem to have completely turned into night. And in this process, accompanied by the waves of destruction. Shinigami is also good. Rukongai residents are also good. All souls within a radius of 100 meters. Almost all of them were scared out of their wits. This, just the coagulation process. It's not really released yet. But, it's different from everyone else. Even if it is locked by the upcoming, Black Sero. But above Bai Chen's face. Still no waves at all. In the black eyes, there is even a strong expectation. With Black Sero, just trying to blow up my wooden golem jutsu. Bai Chen shook his head. Said hesitantly. Quote. Black Sero has to break through the absolute defense of the 5-stage Rashomon. The voice fell. Bai Chen clasped his hands together suddenly. No seals are required, and no spells of any kind. Even the Black Sero hasn't condensed yet. Bai Chen has already cast Muji in an instant. He used the big move he signed in the Palace of Confession before. From the depths of hell. The legendary fivefold Rashomon Q. Chapter 95 Break the game. No way no money. The Black Wing Demon is in despair. Advertise here. B. Fivefold Rashomon. The top of the giant wooden golem Rohan. Bai Chen clasped his hands together. There is no seal in an instant. Boom. The clouds shake. The darkness is torn apart by violence. And the oppression brought by the Black Sero. It was also instantly dispelled by another stronger momentum. At this time, around Bai Chen's body, Reiatsu air waves, roaring upwards. From a height of hundreds of meters, tilt down. Bombarded directly on the ground in the Zaraki district. Instantly lead to the entire battlefield. Nearly devastated, torn apart. Quote ? Quote. What happened? This aura. He actually hides his backhand. The fingertips are still lifted. Black Sero is still cohesive. Under the dark green tear stains that deepened and thickened in those two lines. Ulquiorra's expression changed slightly, uncontrollable again, showing an obvious surprised expression. he thought. Huge wooden golem Lohan, already in the Shikai state, Bai Chen's ultimate strength. Unexpectedly, Bai Chen actually hid a hand in secret. And according to the current momentum, it affects the vastness of the world. What Bai Chen unleashes next? It must be a big move, level skill. That's going to be tough. Of course, unbelievable. And it's not just Ulquiorra. Far away, Shinigami is companions. Also because of the upcoming release of Fivefold Rashomon. And in an instant, everyone was shocked. Impossible. Just this huge wooden golem are hit shoulder to shoulder with the sky is already unrivaled. Bai Chen actually has another more powerful ult. This is 827, exaggerated. At this time. Look up because the darkness is dispelled. And the sky of Zaraki district changed back to blue sky in daytime. Shinigami of the purification unit. Or stay in a daze. Or keep your eyes open. Everyone rubbed their eyes vigorously at least a few times. Until all this is confirmed. It all happened for real. There is still a feeling of trance. It was like witnessing an impossible miracle. Real or fake, after the Black Winged Demon has liberated the sword. The terrifying aura that erupted almost deprived me of the right to breathe. So easily. All of them were dispersed. Madarame Makaku couldn't believe it. Under the bald head, the facial expression was completely frozen. Feels good despite the ease of breathing. But in the brain at the moment. But there is no idea of joy and rejoicing at all. Instead, Bai Chen once again showed strength and means. Completely overturned the three views. ***. We all had another false alarm. Despite the constant sweat on his face, Ayasagawa bowed himself but showed a self-deprecating smile. Think back to a few minutes ago. That feeling of fear. Ayasagawa immediately felt that it was unnecessary to bow himself. Don't panic at all. 8. He even doubted. Even at this moment, even the sky is collapsing. Bai Chen will definitely find a way, relying on his own strength to hold on. So, once again save the day. Ayasagawa feels very safe now. Next, no matter what happens, as long as Bai Chen is around, he will never feel afraid and worried again. And the Shinigami present, the only thing that needs to be done. It is completely safe to watch the battle in place. Just wait for Bai Chen to beat the Black Winged Demon powerfully. At the same time, in the eyes of everyone in awe, the shattered earth shook violently again. Boom. Only when a magnitude 10 earthquake occurs. The terrifying high-frequency vibration that can only appear. Destroyed like destruction, the earth torn apart. And just about everything within a radius of hundreds of meters. When they are all tortured by high-frequency vibrations. In the bottomless crevice, 5 behemoths in different colors. Suddenly from the dark underground, massive violence is booming. Finally in the vibration and roar. Like a huge mountain peak, rows of majestic towering towers. This is, from the depths of hell, a gate to hell that symbolizes death. Ulquiorra frowned. The appearance of the fivefold Rashomon was reflected in the emerald green eyes. Suddenly because of the ghost pattern on the surface of the gate. And suddenly felt a chill hit the back. At this time. The face of every gate of hell. Demon revealed. Ferocity and terror. Between the fangs of the hunting exposed. It leads to the depths of hell. The endless dark path. Facing these 5 huge Rashomons with absolute defense. Confidence in Ulquiorra. Inevitably, another negative impact. When Genin can't help shaking. And because of mood swings. Leading to the tip of the fingertips, the black sorrow that is about to condense. Those shimmering dark sheens. Because of this, it became significantly dimmer in an instant. And at this time, above the sky, Bai Chen's mocking words also fell from the sky. Black Winged Demon, right. You seem to have questioned me just now. Have you not seen the black sorrow that Vasto Lord returned to the blade? Speaking of which, Bai Chen deliberately paused. The playfulness at the corners of the mouth deepened. Take what Ulquiorra said before. Word for word, the exact words. Then you probably haven't seen. Able to block any attack in the world. The fivefold Rashomon known as absolute defense. Bai Chen is not inflated and arrogant. Instead, he has absolute self-confidence and dares to face any enemy. Let go of the harsh words just now. 89 euros. In Bai Chen's eyes. It's up to him to do his best, harnessing the mighty Reiatsu torrent. The condensed and summoned fivefold Rashomon. It is one of the most powerful defensive skills in this world. In contrast to Ulquiorra, although after the one-step return to the blade, the round pressure and strength doubled and skyrocketed. But his strength has improved. And that's all. Does not have any difficult and unsolvable rule-based abilities. Therefore, in pure Reiatsu collision situations, Bai Chen has absolute confidence, even if the opponent fires 100 black horse flashes at the same time. It is also impossible to shake the fivefold Rashomon at all. Belittled. That's for me as a top 4 spada. It's really like a stain. An unbearably humiliating experience. Under the crown-style 2-horned helmet, Ulquiorra's eyebrows were almost drawn into a ball. And his lonely and arrogant character. And never allow yourself to be despised by a Shinigami face to face. So, boom. Black sorrow blasted out suddenly. The dying black light occupies the sky. Destructive dark spiritual power, crushing everything violently. A collision is imminent. The next step should be as Bai Chen said. It's impossible for Black Saro to shake the gates of hell. Behind the spiritual barrier, Katetsu Aizen held his breath. Feeling uneasy, looking at everything that happened in the distance. Although full of confidence in Bai Chen. But because of the destructive power of Black Saro, it is also extremely terrifying. Hence the heart of Katetsu Aizen. Definitely still a little worried. But, next when Black Saro explodes. All worries disappeared in an instant. Katetsu Aizen's mood, it has also become more exciting than ever. Boom. Black Saro blasts up, after detonating suddenly. An undercurrent of spiritual power like a waterfall has been formed. In addition to causing the roar and vibration of the atmosphere. And intensified the frequency and amplitude of the vibration. All dark shadows, like black waves, after spreading on the surface of the gate of hell. But it was strangely covered by the evil ghost pattern on it. It's like swallowing it in one gulp. EXXX. Soon it will all be gone. As if nothing happened from beginning to end. Only the remaining black spirits. Indicated a few seconds ago. Over the Zaraki area, there was a horrible explosion. And when this scene is a weird scene that cannot be explained by common sense. Happens fast. It's over in an instant. The extreme flashes past everyone's eyes. Instantly caused a sensation in the audience. As expected of the legendary gate of hell. In the face of its obstruction and defense. Those terrifying black flashes, the power after the explosion. It's not even as powerful as the red cannon. Not only did it fail to shake the slightest, it was even absorbed by the strange. No wonder Bai Chen called it, absolute defense. All Shinigami. Shocking exclamation. Together with Katetsu Aizen and Chojiro Sparrow. Everyone was amazed by the fivefold Rashomon. And be amazed by its versatility. Totally impressed. Because of the edge of the door frame. Those deep-rooted trees and vines. That's why all the dark spiritual power. It was completely absorbed in a short time after the explosion. Madarame Makaku's pupils constrict, although he has never liked to use his brain. But I can see the specific reason at a glance. 89. Madarame Makaku was right. Fivefold Rashomon summoned by Bai Chen. It has been specially strengthened and modified by the system. Not only strength, and in terms of defense. It is related to Bai Chen, who is the caster, and his own Reiatsu strength. Also because of the fusion of wood-style secrets. Makes the fivefold Rashomon in addition to defense. Additionally possessed, the ability to absorb and plunder spirit particles. And that's why, Black Saro shortly after the explosion. Soon in the eyes of everyone, the reason for the strange disappearance. But, in addition to marveling at the power of the fivefold Rashomon. Some people with delicate minds even noticed it extra. Thanks to Black Saro before being absorbed. The energy that burst out in an instant is too strong. So much so that it directly broke through the battlefield. Along the border of the Zaraki district. At a very fast speed, towards other nearby blocks. Passed away with incomparable speed. Well, although the spread of the aftermath of the explosion is actually not a good thing. But at least out of the Zaraki area. Finally a big start to spread in Rukongai. Among the crowd, Sparrow Step Chojiro looked back. Surprise overflowed in the old eyes. Also with great anticipation. Before, he has been troubled. The Technology Development Bureau does nothing. As a result, there has been no sign of sending support to Gote 13 for a long time. Undeniable, although because of Bai Chen's big move. Another powerful face-to-face suppression of the Black Wing Demon. So that according to the current situation, it seems that no foreign aid is needed anymore. With the fluctuation of the battle gradually spread. As long as it can be passed all the way to the block with the first serial number. Or even pass all the way to Saraiti. Even if there will be movement and riots along the way. Sparrow Chojiro thinks it's worth it. While breaking the deadlock. Messages are no longer closed. This also means that this invasion storm will inevitably end quickly. Really. Because Black Saro's explosive power is too strong. Even if it was finally absorbed, it broke through the signal screen in an instant. It completely shocked the whole Rukongai. And public opinion and news fermented rapidly. Soon to be known by the Shinigami on patrol and stationed in various neighborhoods. It finally got to the team. What? At the border of the Zaraki district, Vasto Lord Arankar actually invaded. And the fighting has been going on for a long time. What a jerk. A team house. In the team room. The captain slapped the wooden case angrily. Flower Whitebeard is so angry that he just exploded. After hearing the news, the old man's first reaction immediately. It is to order the Shinigami of each team. Dispatched together and surrounded the entire 12th Division team building. Not only subdue everyone on the spot. And even Kuretsuchi Mayuri is no exception. It is also captained by the Shinigami captains of other teams. 0.2. Get the spot under control. Captain, Sunny. According to the current investigation, the 12th Division has no intention of rebelling. The result of all this is Kuretsuchi Mayuri's personal idea, and has nothing to do with other officers and soldiers. Chojiro was absent due to Sparrow. So Okiba Genshiro, who had missed the meeting before. Temporarily replace him. Become the adjutant next to the captain and assist the old man in dealing with customers. Snort. Kuretsuchi Mayuri, this madman. He will definitely receive the most severe punishment afterwards. The captain snorted angrily, although still full of anger. However, the mood has calmed down a little. Then he asked in a deep voice. And what about the Zaraki district? Should we be in contact again? What's the latest battle situation? The captain asked concerned. 2 mighty Arankars are openly invading. And one of them is the rumored Vasto Lord. Even if the captain himself is not afraid. And never took the whole Hueco Mundo seriously. But, after all, the purification force has a large number of personnel. Shinigami with hundreds of numbers participating. Therefore, the benevolent captain is not most concerned about the safety of his subordinates. Report to the chief. Over there in the Zaraki area, everything is safe and sound. He bowed to Genshiro Kiba. In a tone of exclamation and praise, he slowly reported. According to the report of the deputy captain of the bird, except for Bai Chen, the rest of the purification team are not out. And Bai Chen relied on his own strength. Have cornered 2 Arankars at the moment. After hearing these words, the captain's cloudy eyes instantly brightened. For this news, very shocked. In